In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
All right, guys, what do you say? We just hop right into it. How's everybody doing? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. You made it through the week. Somehow, some way, you found a way to do it, and I congratulate you for doing so. It's not easy nowadays. It is just not easy, and because, as of the way of the world, things are so crazy right now. Once again, we're going to have a show that is all over the goddamn place. We're going to be talking about anything and everything we possibly can to fit into the 2 hours of this episode of Blunt Politics. So I appreciate you guys as you filter in. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because all of this is important as the last thing we talk about. So what do you say we bring in the chat just to say hi? How's everybody doing? What's going on, guys? There you are. What's happening, Willie? What's going on, Dame? How is everybody doing? What's up, Nola? Trisenia, what's going on? Mike, good to see you. What's up, Carol? What's up, Roxanne? What's up, Rox? What's going on, Yakov? What's happening, Alvin? Appreciate you guys. What's up, Sammy? Good to see you again this morning. What's happening? Appreciate you guys. What's going on, everybody else just joining us? Like I said, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you to the mods, as always. What's going on, Peter? What's going on, Greg, Olga? How's everybody doing? Appreciate you guys. Hey, Karen, how are you? Good to see you. What's up, Laney? Special shout out to everybody on obviously YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram. You make sure you hit the respective buttons on the respective platforms. And then again, as we always do at the beginning of the show, there's a multitude of different ways in which you can contribute. Again, we hide nothing behind a paywall. We show you no ads on our end. We sell you no bullshit. You know what I mean? So again, the Substack is free. Nothing of my content makes you come out of pocket to see it. We just ask if you have a couple bucks, you toss it into the Venmo, or, you shoot it into the old Chatsky there, whether it be a super sticker or a super chat, or you sign up for a YouTube membership, whatever it may be, whatever floats your boat. We very much appreciate you for being the captain of that boat. So, yes, like I said, we got a ton to dive into. Let me just throw on the screen here a couple of the issues that we'll be speaking about today, because we're starting to see here, to whatever small extent, right, some accountability, at least, not in the United States here. I mean, just to be clear, not in the United States, but elsewhere, whether it's CEOs, heads of corporations, whether it's politicians, heads of state, royal family members, whatever it may be, we're already starting to see here some public reaction and the pressure starting to pay off, even where, again, investigations haven't begun yet. This is from Thomas Massey talking about how, the names that they had uncovered in just a small fraction of unredacted files they were able to see has already led to this Sultan Ahmed bin Salayem resigning from the Dubai-based global ports operator. This is from the Wall Street Journal. So it was the DP World chairman and chief executive being forced to step down. And again, this is just a fraction because the Oversight Dems put out a thread on Twitter pretty much, kind of describing and kind of, going through the list of people that have, to some extent already seen and faced some accountability, again, whether it's resignations, investigations, stripping of titles, whatever it be at this point in time. And again, it's a fraction of what we want to see done. Absolutely. But it's got to start somewhere, right? So again, we'll be going through the list of people that the Oversight Dems threw out there, and again, the accountability that they've seen so far. We also have Midas Touch dug up what I believe I think they dug up an old video, an old story about a younger tennis player that in the 90s withdrew from a tennis tournament. Again, if you're a fan of tennis like me, I grew up playing tennis my whole life. You'll probably recognize the name of the individual when we get into it. But she had disappeared for a few days and then somehow wound up being found at Mar-a-Lago. again, at the age of, I believe, 17 at the time. So Midas had posted this, I want to say a couple hours ago, so this morning. So we'll dive into that video, a couple clips of that video as well. And then we got this one that we need to talk about. Because, as everybody has suspected and as everybody keeps talking about, the Epstein files continue to get darker and more disgusting by the day. This was a TMZ video put out yesterday, and it was titled, "Was Epstein Cloning Babies?" And there is a video attached to it. Obviously, it gives the explanation as to what they're talking about and what they're referencing. But I mean, there's no end to the depravity of this. There is just no bottom of the barrel as far as, I mean, the Zorro Ranch, as far as, possibly and allegedly cloning babies. And they talk about a specific email referenced in the files, so it's not like they're just completely making this up out of thin air. You know what I mean? So, and then we'll move on because there's another Too Lazy to Try video depicting and talking about Joe Rogan's latest freak out over the Epstein files, where you can tell it's hitting him really, really hard, but he just doesn't know how to approach it. Like, these people have put themselves in such a corner. They have backed themselves into such a position where they're so stressed out and they're anxious and they're distraught about what they're hearing, but they just can't bring themselves to blame the person, to blame the leader, the president of the United States right now, for the ongoing and active cover-up that, again, his minions and his fucking sycophants are actively perpetrated in right now. So, I want to dive into that one. And then yesterday where we left off on this CoffeeZilla video, basically asking, is this a big joke to the Trump administration and the people working for them? So again, if we have time at the end of the show, we'll dive back into that. And then there was a couple aspects of the I've Had It podcast, ladies. Again, this is probably a secondary note, secondary motion as far as the show is concerned. So again, if we have time, just a couple critiques, a couple things to say as far as, I want to say their online media literacy, right? Because I believe that started when they had Cenk Uygur on before they had Anna Kasparian on. And again, I have no problem with anybody talking to anybody, but at least acknowledge and at least question, at least drill down onto at least some of the ridiculous and nonsensical bullshit they've been saying in the past that, again, directly led to whatever small portion to what we're seeing right now. Again, the whole, the trans act and the trans bashing that TYT and Anna was doing. I forget, what were they calling her? The birthing person bullshit that she was going through. There's a whole list of it. But again, not being questioned and just, I feel like they just don't know. You know what I mean? I just feel like they're not really familiar with these people. They're not really aware too much of these people. They've probably seen a couple viral clips, maybe leading up to the interview, but they're just not really cued in on these other people that they're having on their show. That's just kind of my take. But again, that's a secondary note, secondary notion. But again, and then as far as Ukraine and Gaza is concerned, there was also a good amount left in this discussion between Preston Stewart and the Australian and American volunteer that are fighting over in Ukraine about the latest, advancements in drone tech and drone warfare and, the situation on the front lines. And then lastly, there was this Noah Sampson video that went out, I believe, 4 or 5 days ago, depicting the Gaza ceasefire lie. And I felt like this was very well done. I'm unfamiliar with Noah Sampson or any of the work that he's put out prior to this, so I'm not vouching for anything else, but I do believe that this was very, very well done as far as depicting, the ongoing propaganda and lies, coming out of the Trump administration, coming out of Israel and Netanyahu's mouth about the actions. I mean, we just discussed yesterday about the newest, Israel policies in the West Bank, allowing for even more destruction, even more procurement of land by the Israelis, allowing certain things to continue. This talks about, destruction and the demolition that's ongoing. So again, a lot of these things I want to get into, but first and foremost, let's dive into this first if I can, because a lot of people have been questioning me. And again, I think you guys are giving me a little bit more credit than I actually deserve. I'm not really up on the pedestal as far as a lot of these other, podcasters and YouTubers, live streamers, whatever you want to call them. But, political commentators on the whole, I'm just not on the, on the spectrum as far as it's concerned that yet. But a lot of people have been asking, are you concerned about speaking up against this administration? Are you concerned about speaking up and trying to bring up, these high profile people in the Trump, in the Trump files, also known as the Epstein files? And to a large extent, I say no. Absolutely not. I don't think that I'm on anybody's radar. I don't think anybody's watching this show and is going to have a problem with anything that I'm saying to a large extent. Again, I don't consider myself. I'm not that naive. Let's put it clearly. But it's things like this that have a way of kind of turning that around just a little bit. And again, even to the point of being far below. And this is from Francesca Fiorentini from the Bituation Room, who was, contacted by Richard Branson, the billionaire Richard Branson, former Virgin, CEO, Virgin Airlines, all of that bullshit, prominent figure, prominently featured in the Epstein files. She was actually sent an email from something that she said in one of her I think it was an interview that she was doing, just had a guest on her podcast and was kind of talking about all of this and referencing the emails that he was directly listed in and, the harem quotes and everything else like that. But this is her video here, and it's titled, "Is Richard Branson Threatening Me Over the Epstein Files?" So she's got, and let's just see, I think she's got something like 270,000 subscribers. So again, I'm exponentially smaller in size than this channel. But again, in scope, 270,000 subscribers compared to, I don't know, let's say Midas Touch, who's heading towards 6 million subscribers, right? Or Jack Cocherello or whoever, you name them, and they're in the millions, right? But Pac-Man, Luke Beasley, whoever you fucking want to bring up at this point. So 270K, although a great feat, is an amazing, and we're glad to see her at that point. Not really the type of podcast or YouTube channel that you think the billionaires would be watching or looking at or, searching their name under or caring about that people are watching, right? I'm not sure how many views that particular video got that she was watching, but I have a sneaking suspicion that there's ample amount of videos speaking about the same thing that got far more views. So I just wanted to dive into a little bit of this from Francesca and kind of how she handled the situation and whether or not, they're trying to actively pressure people behind the scenes, threatening lawsuits that they know we can't fucking afford, right? If Richard Branson or, pick a high profile individual that we're talking about in here decides to email Blunt Politics and threaten a lawsuit, it's like, what the fuck am I going to do? You know what I mean? I mean, God knows I don't have a pot to piss in. Never mind a penny or two to put towards a lawsuit. You know what I mean? But I mean, it is something that you do have to fucking think about at this point in time, because they're going to try anything and everything to try to silence anybody that's talking about this, down to the smallest creator up until obviously the news conglomerates that are also speaking about this. So just wanted to dive into a little bit of this. I know we have a ton to cover today, so we're not going to dive into too much. I just wanted, watch enough where we kind of get the, the idea and the gist and obviously the evidence that she's showing of the email that she was sent, pretty much threatening a lawsuit if they didn't kind of, not in so much words, take down what they said, but kind of make it known that this was an email sent and they had to put it on the show. I'll let her continue because she obviously explains it a little bit better. But this is again Francesca Fiorentini, formerly of TYT, now of the Bituation Room. Anybody not following her, I do recommend you go over there and hit that subscribe or follow button on any one of the platforms. I think she's fantastic. And again, this is her actively being threatened by a billionaire coming out of the Epstein files, where there's absolutely no fucking leg to stand on, considering the emails that we see coming out, who they're from, who they're to, and what they say. So again, this is Francesca Fiorentini. Let's go. You might remember that last week,
Gareth Reynolds and I were discussing the Epstein files, the 3 million files that were released. Again, only half of the full files have been released, with really disturbing redactions in these files where people talk about children and then their names are redacted, say, oh, the littlest one was naughty. I feel like we should know who that email is from. When you're emailing Jeffrey Epstein, the littlest one was naughty. And I feel gross even just saying that, but these are some of the things that have been coming out, in addition to sworn deposition about a 13-year-old who was, graped by Donald Trump and the like. And one of the names, in addition to, God, I didn't even mention, but, problematic fave Noam Chomsky, who came out with a statement that was, I think, a very good statement. It did not say that there was no sweeping under the rug. There was no Chomsky didn't know what he was doing. It was like he was fooled. He was fooled by Epstein, and it was stupid. And there's no there's no coming back from that. I thought that wasn't a good apology. We can talk about that another time. Richard Branson, however, again, billionaire, owner of Virgin Group, formerly Virgin Airlines, a guy who once pledged to find an alternative fuel source, deploying $3 billion of his own dollars in order to do so. But oops, journalist Naomi Klein found out he only actually dedicated less than $300 million of the $3 billion. Guy who tried to topple Maduro back in 2019 using a concert, a Venezuela Live Aid concert that caused a mini geopolitical crisis on the Colombia-Venezuela border back in 2019 at the behest of the Venezuelan opposition, Leopoldo Lopez and Juan Guaido, by the way. Guy who famously also, donates to Democrats, went parasailing with Barack Obama just months after Obama walked us into the mouths of a Trump administration. That guy and his PR firm took umbrage with something I said about him in the last show. Richard Branson, a big Democratic donor.
This is the clip from the show that they actually reached out to her fucking podcast and emailed them about. And again, I don't think they show it. I'm not sure how many views it's got, but I think that would be, kind of a prominent thing to look at too. It's like, well, if they're going to be looking at streams and podcasts of this caliber, of this size, and again, not taking away anything from Francesco whatsoever, but obviously we all know of much larger, more prominent, more highly featured podcasts, YouTube channels, political commentators, right? And again, for them to be reaching out to channels of this size just goes to show how scared they are of anybody and everybody talking about this. And again, this is the short clip that they're referencing.
Former Virgin Air owner.
Also Island owner,
advising Epstein on how to make a comeback after being a convicted child sex trafficker.
Which is crazy to me because it looks like she's actually just reading an article, right? It looks like she's reading an article written about Richard Branson and the emails to come out of the files here. So it's not like, I don't even know how she could be held liable or accountable for that, right? But they had the timestamp, and she'll go on to talk about it here. But I just find this fucking wild. I really do find this wild.
That is what they took umbrage with, and they emailed the show. This show, guys, have we made it or have we made it? I mean... No, 2 days later, I get an email to vitiation@gmail.com from Richard Branson's people. All right.
From press@virgin.com. I'm reaching out from Virgin Group regarding yesterday's episode, which referenced Richard Branson at 27:56. So quite literally the exact timestamp of which, they're referencing. While we understand the reference to Richard was brief, we felt it important to place our full statement on the record. As you will see, it outlines the due diligence undertaken and the decisive action Richard took to sever ties. Again, it sounds a lot like what Donald Trump and his fucking PR team has concocted as far as what they need to say. Well, look at this, where he kicked him, he disbarred him from Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, what the fuck happened before and after then? All right, what are we just gonna totally negate everything that we've heard, seen, and know about what their relationship was looking like before that little thing happened? But anyway, I've also included background information to contextualize the email referenced. We therefore requested that, if transcript exists, this statement is included and that this next context is accurately reflected in any future commentary. Please, can you confirm the receipt of this message? And then they go on, many thanks, Aaron, background briefing, media statement to be published in full. So this is probably their, really fucking heavily concocted, gone through with multiple, different litigators and different people advising Richard Branson on how to word this, their media statement, and then, a little on the background details. So a bunch of the bullshit here. But again, just an active and ongoing threat is the only way that you could take this, right? If you continue to talk about it, I mean, it's not so much in the words that they're using, but it's definitely in the fact that press@virgin.com for Richard Branson is reaching out to the Bituation Room about her reading an article about Richard Branson being named in the Epstein files. I mean, it's not like she even expounded on that. You know what I mean? It's not like she went on to, to fucking demean his character or to slander him, above and beyond whatever the information in the article was. Nothing like that. Just clearly reporting the facts as she saw them, clearly reporting what was written in the article that I believe she was reading. I don't know if she confirms it here or not, but I mean, it looked to me that's like exactly what she was doing.
At virgin.com. I'm reaching out from Virgin Group regarding yesterday's episode with reference.
She goes on to read what I just read to you, but I just want to get her kind of afterwards comments, and then we'll dive on.
Talking. So effectively, if you don't clear Branson's name in the way we want you to clear it, we're going to sue you little podcast YouTube channel. Cool. No. Please. Definitely cover up for assisting assisting at Jeffrey Epstein, allegedly.
And again, she goes on to even show the email referenced, right? So this is the email that was referenced here.
Of a few emails, people.
One of a few
that had been, that are out there.
So this is from Jeffrey Epstein to Richard Branson. Thanks for the help. See you when I return. We'll be in Paris October 10th. But if you look down here, it says, Dear Jeffrey, it was really nice seeing you yesterday. The boys in water sports can't stop speaking about it. Anytime you're in the area, would love to see you, as long as you can bring your harem. Okay. One, I think if Bill Gates was willing to say that you've been a brilliant advisor to him and that you slipped up many years ago by sleeping with a 17-and-a-half-year-old woman, no girl, if we're being, legal here, and were punished for it, that you've more than learned your lesson and have done nothing against the law since. And yes, a single man like you seems to have a penchant for women, but there's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, something along those lines. 2, 20th of September. Sadly, I'm in the UK for that week. 3, I'll copy Peter Norris. Is there a similar transaction you'd recommend today for? We definitely should be using all the information we gain worldwide to trade currencies and trade oil. If you find anybody you recommend for us, that would be great. But we'll start looking again. I'll copy Peter Norris. So clearly given instructions, which is what Francesca said in there. Like he's doing PR work for a known and convicted pedophile to try to rehab his fucking, his image. Right. So if you just say that everybody was 17-and-a-half and you've learned your lesson. And by the way, we love the water sports, whatever water sports means, because any words and fucking lingo and language in this doesn't really mean what you think it means. Chances are, with the code words and the fucking, the backdoor dealings that these fucking monsters had, you never know. But here, this is clearly Richard Branson talking to Jeffrey Epstein, trying to give him PR help, right? Trying to say, this is what you should say. This is what we should go with. And thank you. Please bring your harem, which is disgusting. So everything that she said in there was completely true. So nothing has to be revised as far as I'm concerned. But again, for the sake of time, I just want to go in. I'll show you the response that she gave to the team to this email. She said, sure, we'll ask the harem to add it to the show notes. Which is a fucking chef's kiss response to Virgin Group for that, for the email that they sent here. You know what I mean? Clearly referencing the email that Branson is listed in, right? Say it's in agreement with them, so they can't even really be pissed off about it. So she's saying, yeah, sure, we'll ask the harem to add it to the show notes. So in agreement, but also giving a fucking, an 8-inch blade jab to the ribs to the fucking Virgin Group in the response. So again, shout out to Francesca. She's great. I love her the work and she's doing over there. She's never afraid to speak out on the hard topics, the hard issues, which is what I respect most. So again, the response, perfect response. But again, just a lot of people asking and not necessarily even doing with the Epstein files. I mean, just as far as the crackdown we've seen on people speaking up against the administration and using their First Amendment right and all of that. You know what I mean? So as far as that line goes, I think I'm pretty well behind the scenes still at this point, so I can probably get away with a lot more than everybody else. But who knows? Hopefully, if you guys continue contributing to the channel, we continue growing the channel. Maybe I'll find myself in more trouble. Kind of an odd place to find yourself at. Let's grow this channel so I can find myself in trouble. But anyway, fuck them. I'm not afraid. I don't need boots. Nah, not my flavor. All right. So again, just to kind of dive on to accountability from this, or at least again a small fraction. I'm not even trying to put this on the fucking radar, on the map, on the listing of by any means the accountability that we're looking for. Right. This is just the start. This is just the snowball at the top of the hill beginning its downhill descent, and then by the time it gets to the end of the hill, it's going to be hopefully a lot fucking bigger than what it began looking like. So this is put out by the Oversight Dems on Twitter, and this is a thread about their investigations along with public pressure has brought significant consequences for those associated with Jeffrey Epstein. And again, I wouldn't even go that far to call these significant consequences by any stretch of the imagination. This is the bare minimum. This is by far right now the bottom of the barrel. The fucking bare minimum that society could demand of these people is resigning, stepping down, relinquishing power, giving up their titles, whatever it may be, whatever power and money and financial status, whatever it may be that they've accrued over the years, should be completely stripped of them. no access to any club they're affiliated with. All movie rights, all TV deals, all commercials should be stripped. Whatever it is, investments, whether it be private corporations and private businesses or government subsidies, all of them fucking stopped immediately, and that's happening in a few places, but not the United States. So this was put out again by the Oversight Dems, and this is, again, they go on to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and the people associated with them, and a little bit of how some of them are paying the price, or at least starting to pay the price, as I should say. Again, and they put out a thread here. First one they put out is obviously Prince Andrew, which has been widely known that King Charles stripped him of his title. Again, the smallest and least gesture, least amount that we could see from something happening to Prince Andrew is kind of him just being evicted from his fucking lodges and stripped of his titles. He should be locked up with the key thrown away for a long time. But again, the beginning of it. And then they go on to talk about Larry Summers, right? Larry Summers, the former U.S. Secretary of the Treasury. Larry Summers stepped down from the board of OpenAI over his connections with Epstein. So again, that's somebody else that, again, to a small extent, has at least had to change his life a little bit, let's just say. Peter Mandelson, obviously the former British ambassador to the U.S. Peter Mandelson lost his ambassadorship to the U.S. due to his ties to Epstein. After the recent DOJ release, Mandelson resigned from the House of the Lords, and the U.K. has launched a police investigation into his misconduct in public office. So again, not only has he resigned, not only has he been forced to relinquish power, but open investigations launched into his actions. So again, just another example of somebody now facing the beginnings of justice right now. Brad Kopp, former law firm exec. Brad Kopp, former chairman of Paul Weiss, one of the top corporate law firms in the U.S., resigned after emails between him and Epstein were revealed. Kopp also resigned from his position on the board of trustees at his alma mater, Union College. Next one was George Mitchell, former Maine senator. Mitchell resigned from his position as honorary chair of the Mitchell Institute over his ties with Epstein, and the institute is now considering a name change. Queen's University Belfast also removed Mitchell's names from the Institute for Global Peace, Security, and Justice. That's that fucking schmucking monster right there. Next one is a female, Mona Juul, Norwegian ambassador to Jordan and Iraq. Mona Juul stepped down due to her interactions with Epstein. She is married to fellow Norwegian diplomat and close Epstein associate Terje Rode Larsen, and the foreign ministry has launched a review of the think tank that Terje Rode Larsen used to run. And that's her decrepit, disgusting-looking face there. Miroslav Lajcik, former Slovakia national security advisor, the Slovak prime minister's national security advisor, resigned over his text messages with Epstein. There's the decrepit bastard's face there. Number 8, Peter Acha, author Peter Acha, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that. It is not important enough for me to get right or give a shit about. The longevity expert and author resigned as chief science officer of David Protein. There are also reports that CBS, for whom he has recently named a contributor, is planning to cut ties with him. That's that fucking bald thumb-looking bastard's face right there. Thorbjørn Jagland, former Norwegian prime minister, Norway's economic crime police unit launched an investigation into Jagland, former prime minister and chairman of the Norwegian Nobel Committee, on suspicion of aggravated corruption. 10 is David A. Ross, an art museum curator. Ross resigned from his position as department chair at New York School of Visual Arts over his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. Number 11, Jack Lang, a former French culture minister. Jack Lang resigned as head of the Paris's Arab World Institute and was summoned to the foreign ministry to explain his ties with Epstein. His daughter, French film producer Caroline Lang, also resigned as head of France's Union of Independent Producers after the emails showed she had founded an offshore company with Epstein in 2016. Jesus H. Christ. What in the fuck is that? I didn't know people actually wanted a baboon's nose attached to their face. Is that a thing? Do people go to Africa and kidnap baboons and just like detach the baboon's nose so they could have it fucking surgically attached to their face? I didn't know that was a thing. That is a strange looking thing. Good God. Like if you were like, hey, you suck at drawing, Brian. Could you draw me a picture of what you think the like most typical, stereotypical person involved with Jeffrey Epstein and like this fucking world of elite cabal, children-eating pedophiles looks like? I'd probably draw something like that. That's probably what it would look like right there. But that is, hold on. I just, maybe I'm off on this. Maybe I'm off on this. I don't think I am though. I don't think I am though. Just, I mean, am I not getting this? Am I not getting this right? Is this, I'm sorry. Is that not the same guy? That's the same guy, right? Isn't that the same guy? I'm pretty sure that's the guy. I think I just stumbled on this motherfucker's family tree, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure that's him. I think that's his aunt that we're looking at right there. That might be, there's his aunt. Where's his uncle? His uncle may not be pictured here. I think that might have been in a black and white too early to get the picture taken on that one. But I'm pretty sure we just stumbled on the man's family tree here. And there's the latest iteration. But anyway, moving on. Number 12 for these assholes and decrepit morons to see the slightest bit of accountability in the beginnings of a pressure campaign to seek justice here. Dean Kamen, Segway inventor Dean Kamen, is on a leave of absence from the board of robotics organization First over his ties to Epstein, which apparently included a visit to his island. Several companies founded by Kamen also conducting independent reviews of his connection to Epstein. That's him. And then the last one is, I think, the most recent one being talked about, which is the Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, a former CEO of DP World. Sulayem was removed from his position as CEO of Dubai's largest port operator after files showed years of exchanges with Epstein, including an email in which Epstein referred to a torture video apparently shared by Sulayem. And again, this list needs to be much, much longer. And hopefully, as this continues to go on. And again, what about a lot of these people, right? A lot of these fucking people have less connection, far less connection, exponentially less connection than Donald Trump, exponentially less connection than Howard Nutlick. Right? Less connection than Elon Musk. Where's the justice and accountability? Where is the public pressure? Where is the demanding of accountability and justice and removal from power from the people in this country, from the judicial system in this country? Because it seems to be going on elsewhere, whether it's Norway, whether it's the UK, whether it's fucking, whether it's Ireland, wherever you were talking about here. It seems to be that these other places are taking it a lot more seriously than we seem to be taking it here, which is obviously frustrating continuously when you hear Pam Bondi, as we heard in the mockery that was her fucking testimony the other day in front of the House Judiciary Committee. Obviously, people still talking about that moment and the moments to come from that and how disgusting that was. We played yesterday on the show the interview from the Epstein survivors that were in attendance there. They went over to NBC after and sat down for an interview. We played a little bit of that yesterday. So if you want to check that out, you can head back to yesterday's show. But yeah, here's just a little bit of the start. This is the start. And I would say this is basically just getting the ball rolling. And this is the bare minimum, scraping the bottom of the barrel for, again, justice and accountability. And again, hopefully we can only see more of that and more people demanding that, whether you're right, left, center, indifferent. I don't give a shit at this point. Like we say, it's beyond politics at this point. Like it's gotten to the point where these are now the Donald Trump files that in some way, shape, or form kind of reference Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. That's where we're at right now. So, and as far as that's concerned here, I mean, these videos are all connected, so no need for a proper segue, I guess. This was put out this morning by Midas Touch. Trump panics as Midas posts video he feared. And I'm just going to play the portion in which they get into kind of the specifics of the video here, in which they're talking about, a tennis star back in the day, and I'll let them continue, but I don't want to give away too much, but that kind of disappeared after withdrawing from a prominent tournament, and then somehow just managed to kind of pop up at Mar-a-Lago. And again, I'll let Ben go on with the story, but I don't think Donald Trump's liking that this information and the information still to come and stories just like this that we're guaranteed to learn about in the future are coming out. I don't think he's going to be too happy about it. But I'll just dive into a couple minutes of this, and then we'll move on to, I believe, next one is either Joe Rogan or the TMZ video, the disturbing TMZ video about Epstein cloning babies, allegedly. So stick around for that. Holy shit. All right, let's dive into this one. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button. I'm Boston Brian. This is the Blood Politics Podcast. Only with your help and assistance does this channel keep going and growing. So please help if you think you like what you're seeing and like what you're hearing. Let's go.
So then we pull out this article right here. Tennis prodigy, ball in parents' court. And this article starts to talk about how, at 17 years old, Monica Seles withdrew from playing in Wimbledon.
And again, anybody that's a tennis fan or knows the sport of tennis by any stretch of the imagination probably remembers the name Monica Seles. And this is from, I don't know, is the date on this? I'm not sure if the date is on this, but they'll go on to talk about it, I do believe. Let's see here.
Because of an alleged injury, and she started staying at Mar-a-Lago, and people are like, what the hell is going on? And then she appeared in commercials right
you
around.
See, look at what's highlighted. See what's highlighted just right there in the article. If she was my 17-year-old daughter, I wouldn't want her within 5,000 miles of Donald Trump. All right. So people knew. People fucking knew. All right, this was already a widespread, wide-known thing, even when this article was written. As you can see here, and there's Jennifer Capriati there pictured, but just underneath that is, if she was my 17-year-old daughter, again, referencing the tennis star there, I wouldn't want her within 5,000 miles of Donald Trump. And they go on.
This time period when she was underage or when she was 17 years old, and she was staying at Mar-a-Lago. It was widely reported she's living at Trump's place in Mar-a-Lago at this time period, and there was questions, was she dating Trump? Like, what the hell was going on?
Hold on, somebody in the chat asked, what was the date? Mad Mac asked, hold on, let me see, I'll see if I can specify real quick for you guys so I can get you exact date. Trump Mar-a-Lago. I keep forgetting her. Why do I keep forgetting her name? Hold on.
Let me just play for you first the story is going on. And then she appeared in commercials right around this time period. Monica
Seles.
Not a complicated.
I keep brain farting on the name. Monica Seles. Let's see here. In the summer of 1991. So let me see if I can throw this on the screen. It's on the screen. So that worked already. Didn't have to do that. All right. So in the summer of 1991, top-ranked tennis player Monica Seles stayed at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida, following her abrupt withdrawal from Wimbledon. So we're talking about the summer of 1991. So you would have to assume that this article would have been written, at the exact time, or maybe possibly a week or two later. Assumed it would be at the time that this news story was going on. So around 1991, people already knew. There was already quotes inside of articles like this one. If she was my 17-year-old daughter, I wouldn't want her within 5,000 miles of Donald Trump. 1991, people.
Parents court. And this article starts to talk about how, at 17 years old, Monica Seles withdrew from playing in Wimbledon because of an alleged injury, and she started staying at Mar-a-Lago, and people are like, what the hell is going on? And then she appeared in commercials right around this time period when she was underage or when she was 17 years old, and she was staying at Mar-a-Lago. It was widely reported she's living at Trump's place in Mar-a-Lago at this time period. And
does that not seem incredibly fucking awkward, incredibly strange to anybody else? I mean, I know 1991 seems like a long fucking time ago, but in the grand scheme of things, not all that fucking long ago, right? I mean, the times weren't that much different. So why on earth was it just like widely known and widely reported about this shit? And again, there's even a moment here, and I don't know if we'll have enough time to dive into it. This moment here, where this woman's questioned, this woman's questioned, not that first woman, this woman's questioned, and, just the way she talks about, the elites and the high profile and the rich people and how they want to be around the athletes. And I think she calls them like jock sniffers is the term that she uses. And it's just such a cold, callous way. And it's like, what were people like? Jesus Christ, what were people on back then? I know a lot of cocaine and shit, but still. And I'll go back to here where Ben was, where I left off. But, if we get to that part, you'll hear her say it. And it's just like, it kind of, you're taken aback by like the callousness in which she says it.
Withdrew from playing in Wimbledon because of an alleged injury, and she started staying at Mar-a-Lago, and people are like, what the hell is going on? And then she appeared in commercials right around this time period when she was underage or when she was 17 years old, and she was staying at Mar-a-Lago. It was widely reported she's living at Trump's place in Mar-a-Lago, at this time period. And there was questions. Was she dating Trump? Like, what the hell was going on? So let me just play for you first the story how in 1991, tennis champion Monica Seles withdrew from playing at Wimbledon because of an alleged injury, and she was invited to Mar-a-Lago. Play this clip.
Yet another woman in Donald Trump's life. Tennis star Monica Seles, the top-ranking female player in the world, stunned everybody when she suddenly dropped out of Wimbledon. Now she turned up at the Trump mansion in Florida. Rosanna Scotto reports.
I know a dark, secluded place where no one knows your face. A glass of wine, a fast embrace. It's called Hernando's Hideaway. Ole.
Forget about Hernando's Hideaway. Mar-a-Lago has turned into Donald Trump's hideaway for tennis fugitive Monica Seles. Seles mysteriously disappeared after abruptly dropping out of the Wimbledon Championships 10 days ago, only to strangely resurface at Trump's palatial Florida estate.
Again, 17 years old we're talking about here. 17 years old. We're not talking about, an older, independent woman here. We're talking about a 17-year-old that just randomly dropped out of Wimbledon, disappeared for a little bit, and then just fucking decided to pop up at Mar-a-Lago in 91 here.
The developer reportedly invited the 17-year-old Yugoslav to stay at his home so she could avoid reporters.
17-year-old Yugoslav. Now, tell me if that doesn't fit the already fucking, the book that we know that they go by, the Eastern European, the young, underage Eastern European, right? Fits right in. 1991.
To find out why she skipped the tournament. But why would Trump want to get involved in this? Could this eligible bachelor have met his match? The editor of Tennis Magazine could only guess.
Athletes attract all kinds of people.
Listen.
We have a term for them called jock sniffers, which
Ugh, like just fucking absolutely gross. We have a term for them. They're called jock sniffers. So that's the category that Donald Trump would fall into, jock sniffers. But again, the jock that he's sniffing isn't of an underage girl. I'd like to remind fucking Donna Doherty. Okay? And I'm sure, I don't know, I can't say explicitly whether or not, the interview that she's given here was in reference to this, or if she knew explicitly about it or whatnot. I didn't see enough of the interview, but it's just, again, the cold, gross, I don't know. It's just jock sniffers for older, disgusting, decrepit men that are hanging around underage athletes, I guess is the term that's what that references.
all kinds of people. We have a term for them called jock sniffers, which the term, people who feel somewhat bigger by hanging around with athletes or celebrities. And I think it doesn't matter what social status you're from.
Trump has
and I think 100% incorrect. I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that they're an athlete. I think it's everything to do with the power that they hold over them, as far as them being high-profile male individuals in the world of finance, in the world of business, in the world of media, whatever it may be. And then they find these young, vulnerable underage girls that they can command, that they can, hold their power over, that they can laugh at, that they can demean and degrade and ask to do things, this, that, or the other thing, right? I don't think it has anything to do with them. Oh, I want to be next to an athlete. Fuck them. Fuck they do. I don't give a shit if they're an athlete. I don't give a shit what they are, as long as it feeds their needs.
To be a big tennis fan. In fact, he found himself in some trouble last year when he was squiring Argentine tennis star Gabriela Sabatini around his casino in Atlantic City. She was 19 years old, underage, according to Jersey law. Trump was served with a fine.
Now, does anybody recall that? So basically, the story that we're talking about now with Monica Seles came after Donald Trump was fined, apparently in New Jersey, for his squiring. I don't know, forgive me for the word that they used back then for whatever they called what Donald Trump was doing. It seems highly inappropriate to use that at this point. But whatever Donald Trump was doing, he got fined for it because, per New Jersey state law, she was underage. Right? So listen to that again.
Trump has been known to be a big tennis fan. In fact, he found himself in some trouble last year when he was squiring Argentine tennis star Gabriela Sabatini around his casino.
Gabriela Sabatini. Let's see here. 1990. So they said a year early, right? That was 1991. 1990. Gabriela Sabatini. Let's see here. Okay, let me add Trump into that. It might bring up more stuff. Just give me a second, see if I can just dig up something from the files. Just for the files, in 1982, Trump was 42. Just for the file, 19 was 40 between wives, and tennis superstar Gabriella Sabatini was 19. He dated her for months in public. What's this one? Throw this on the screen. Just for the files. This was posted July 17, 2020 files. Just for the files. In 1989, Trump was 42 and between wives and tennis superstar Gabriella Sabatini was 19. He dated her for a month in public. Now, let me see if there's anything that we could put on there. Let me see if I can find anything about him being fined here. Let me see. Trump fined. Let's see if I put that in there for a second. Yeah, can I share this to the screen here? Let me share this on the screen. In 1989-1990, Donald Trump was reportedly warned in his casino faced potential fines from the Jersey Casino Commission's control for allowing tennis star Gabriella Sabatini onto the casino floor while she was underage. The incident around 1989, when Gabriella Sabatini was 19 years old, Donald Trump brought her onto one of his Atlantic City casinos, legal violation because she was under 21. Broader allegations in 1991, a book reports the alleged that Jeffrey Epstein was also present during these casino visits with claims that they were accompanied by younger teenagers, making the situation a significant regulatory risk for the casino. Seems like the broader allegations are much more substantial than just having an underage girl on the casino floor. I think this might be the more, explosive thing we should be looking at here. The broader allegations. The 1991 book and later reports allege that Jeffrey Epstein was also present during these casino visits with Donald Trump and a 19-year-old girl while he's 42, with claims that they were accompanied by even younger teenagers, making the situation a significant regulatory risk for the casino. So again, tell me if that doesn't fit right in line with what we know about what's coming out of the files, what we already knew about the people and how they worked and how they maneuvered and how they procured these underage girls, what kind of underage girls they liked. All of it seems to fit right into fucking place when these puzzle pieces come flying at you. Isn't it strange how that happens?
In Atlantic City. She was 19 years old, underage, according to Jersey law. Trump was served with a fine. While Mr. Trump would not comment on this latest tennis friendship, a published report says that Donald is really not interested in Monica romantically. In fact, her parents are staying with her at Mar-a-Lago. She's kind of...
Jesus fucking Christ. Like, what weird situation goes on around these people? Like, what is the situation where it's like, yeah, bring your parents too? Like, knowing what's taking place around these places and the people that are frequenting these places. Bring your parents too. You know what I mean? It's almost like, hey, we'll set them up in a different room. We'll make them feel comfortable. We'll send them out on their little excursions. We'll send them to the fucking country club. Meanwhile, we can have our way with you, right? But if anybody asked, hey, nothing nefarious could be possibly going on because their parents are staying here too. You know, it's like you can't put anything past these fucking sick, disgusting, degenerate people. Right. And again, this video goes on, so I'd recommend anybody that wants to check out the rest of that to go check out the rest of that over at Midas Touch. Again, it was posted this morning titled Trump Panics as Midas Post Video He Feared. Again, if we had a ton more time, I'd be more than willing to go into the entirety of that. But the best I could do is just recommend you go watch the rest of that. All right, let's dive into. Fuck, I don't know what to do first. I think we'll do this one first, and then we'll go into the TMZ video because the TMZ video is gonna be a lot. So again, this is shout out to Too Lazy to Try, another great video calling out Joe Rogan and Joe Rogan's freak out over the Epstein files release. This is just the latest iteration. I believe this came out this morning. Yeah, so just a few hours ago. For Too Lazy to Try, head over to here. He's got about 445,000 subscribers. He does great work as far as these type of videos are concerned. So again, shout out to Too Lazy to Try for the work that he does in here. But again, this is about Joe Rogan and his latest guest that he had on. And just look at how distraught Joe Rogan is about this and how much he definitely knows there's something going on, but how unwilling he is to go to the next step, to go to the next level, to answer the questions that all these people are asking, whether it's Rob shit, whether it's fucking Kyle shit me, or whether it's Joe Shogun here. You know what I mean? Here we go. Check this out. And again, we're only going to play a little bit of this. We don't have to dive into too much because there's a lot else that we have to go into, a lot else that we have to cover as well. But again, this is Too Lazy to Try. Joe Rogan is freaking out over the Epstein files. Here's the latest video.
Like when you look at your total conspiracy catalog of things that you like to dive into outside of aliens, because everybody knows that, what are your other ones that you like?
Well, aliens is the most fun one.
Yeah.
This is the one that I hate the most.
Yeah.
Because this one scares the shit out of me. It's crazy. So this is the conspiracy that drives me the most crazy because I don't like it.
Do you spend a lot of time reading them?
No, I try not to. I try to have
Again,
experts.
Joe Rogan, the guy for years on his podcast, spent God knows how many hours talking about how much these files need to be released and how much the people associated with the files need to be held to account. And, the same thing is like Dan Bongino and all of these fucking, people that as soon as now they have the opportunity to speak up in a position of power against what's going on, they kind of cower in the background, right? I think people were talking about how Dan Bongino on some of his, podcasts since he's been back hasn't even referenced anything about the Epstein files. We'll talk about anything and everything under the sun but the Epstein files. Not that I've watched, but that's that's what the little birdies are saying over on the Twitster. But anyway, Joe Rogan, you can see he's distraught. He's like, he doesn't want to. He's really fucking upset about what's taking place and what he's heard. But then he's asked, "Are you digging into this at all? Have you looked at any of them? Have you seen like your buddies and all of the people that you've had on your show? Have you seen their names listed?" And he says, "No, nope, I haven't done that. The best I could do is invite people that I think." That I would call experts on this situation onto the show so I could change the subject as soon as they bring up anybody that I'm closely affiliated with. Right? It's crazy.
Come on. I try to read. You can't change it.
Yeah.
And it'll fuck with your head.
All right. So it looks like the recent Epstein file release is really starting to break Joe Rogan. This man has been going through it. Same thing with Alex Jones. He had a meltdown the other day and had to hold himself back from crying. But his fans, on the other hand, are like, Alex is vindicated. We knew it. He's right again. Because him and Rogan have been talking about the Epstein theories and pushing for the release for years. So now that we're starting to see it come out and how bad it is and all the high profile people who are involved, you'd think somebody like Alex Jones would be taking a victory lap like his fans are doing. But instead,
that's what we've been saying here. Like, all he had to do was change a couple of the facts, a couple of the fucking things in the narrative that he's been saying, and he would have been spot on. If he had just named Donald Trump and some of the ridiculous shit that he was saying, like he'd even have a little fucking credibility as far as this minute situation is concerned in the shit that he said, right? Or calling out Trump, at least. We'll boil it down to at least just that. Like, but he doesn't. So he has absolutely no credibility here. He looks like a moron, even though he's like, he's been on the same side as Bongino, the same side as Rogan on trying to, again, expose the corrupt cabal of illegal fucking pedophiles and this and that and frogs and shit, right? But now all of a sudden it's like, well, let's not talk about the circus leader, the ringleader, dressed in orange makeup that's clearly fucking conducting the orchestra that is Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, the DOJ, the FBI, and the rest of these fucking schmucks in the cover-up. You know what I mean?
Him and Rogan are freaking out over it because I think it's starting to set in for the both of them that a lot of the people they associate with are complicit or were at least involved with Epstein or the cover-up. Also, it's almost impossible to defend the way Trump's administration has handled this after they were caught lying.
No, it's completely indefensible. It is completely 100% indefensible the way that this has been handled.
And trying to protect co-conspirators. Even Rogan finally snapped and is like, yeah, this looks fucking terrible for Trump. Because Jamie pulled up one of the emails where Epstein said to someone, I love the torture video. And that name was redacted. But then Thomas Massey got.
And again, you can see the pretzel. You can see the pretzeling of Joe Rogan's brain as he's reading this, as he's asking the questions out loud to himself. Why would this name be redacted? Why would this administration? Why would this DOJ? Why would this FBI go to these lengths to, again, redact this person's name considered what's written in this email? Or considered what's, talked about in this file or whatever they're talking about. You can see him like in real time trying to fucking work this out in his fucking pea-sized brain. You know what I mean? And it's just he can't get to that next level. He can't get past that next stage in the video game. He can't.
Redacted version the other day and named the person. It was this businessman in the UAE, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem. He sent Epstein a torture video, and Trump's administration, I guess, felt like he needed to be protected, like he's a victim here.
So Epstein was saying that. Where are you? Are you okay? I love the torture video.
Jeez.
I am in China. I'll be in the U.S. second week of May. What the fuck, man? And why is his name redacted?
Again, in real time. In real fucking time, you can see that thought pop out of his fucking mouth, right? Go straight from his thick skull, straight down to his mouth and out through his lips. Why is his name redacted? Gee, who's got control over that thing, huh? Who's got control over those fucking redact buttons right now, Joe? Who's leading the charge as far as this country is concerned in the cover-up that we're now, seeing in this government engaged in? Just go. One more step you got to take. You're so close.
Why would your name be redacted if you're not a victim? Like, this is what's crazy about all this.
Is it?
Like, how come you redact some people and you don't redact other people?
Gee, next step. What is the next logical step you'd take in that answer? Does he take it?
Like, what is this? This is not good. None of this is good for this administration. It looks fucking terrible.
Not only does it look fucking terrible, it is fucking terrible. It points to terrible things. It points to guilt. It points to association, right? It points to a reason why this like whole fucking reasoning why everybody's so confused on the right, why they're not getting the answers that they were promised, points back to one fucking individual. And it would free up so much in these people's brains if they could just allow the thought creep into their head that Donald Trump is perpetrating this whole thing. Or the sycophants that want to kiss the boot of Donald Trump and just get off on sniffing the taint every single morning of Donald Trump are doing this because they know about his affiliation. They know about his friendships with these people. Maybe he doesn't even have to, directly command them to do this. Similar to the way that Hitler, organized and had his government run. Didn't necessarily have to give a specific order, but the people knew what he wanted, based on what he was saying at the fucking tea parties, based on what he was saying at the dinner parties and shit like that, based on what he was saying at this meeting or that meeting. Wasn't a direct, hey, go and do this. But again, they can fucking infer what he wants to see done by the way that he's speaking. So maybe there's a little bit of that going on in here too. Or it could be as plain and as blatant as, hey, I'm in these motherfuckers a lot. These are basically my files. I guarantee Donald Trump is so fucking self-centered, right? He is so deluded. He is so psychotic that I guarantee to some extent he's pissed off that people call these the Epstein files, right? He's probably pissed that people aren't calling these the Trump files. It's probably why he wants to move on. If they were called the Trump files, he'd probably want to dig into it a little bit more. It's funny he doesn't want to read any of these files, considering the way that he loves to read anything that his name's associated with. Well, motherfucker, your name's associated anywhere between 38,000 and 1 million times in these files. So just like they had to throw your name into the fucking morning meetings, right into the morning briefing so you'd read what was going on and taking place throughout the world, maybe they could do that here. Maybe they could somehow get you to read what's going on here. Maybe you'll be sickened. Well, not really. I know this is a huge stretch here. But maybe the people surrounding you will be sickened to a point that they'd want to seek accountability and justice as well.
It looks terrible. It looks terrible for Trump when he was saying that none of this was real. This is all a hoax. This is not a hoax. Like, did you not know? Maybe he didn't know. If you want
oh my God. He's so fucking close, people. He really is. I don't know if the headphones are on too tight. I'm not sure, really. I mean, again, a lot of knocks to the head can do it. I've had a lot myself, but I feel like I'm a little bit more on the plane than Joe Rogan is as far as mental stability is concerned at this point. But he's literally asking the questions of himself. This looks bad for Trump. This looks bad for the Trump administration. Why is this guy's name being redacted? We know he's been involved. All of this other, but again, maybe he just didn't know. Like, he has to add that caveat in there to somehow let Trump off the hook, to somehow, again, let his brain escape the actual answers that are sitting right in front of his fucking face. All of them add that caveat, the Newsmax, the Rob Schmitz, right? All of them add a caveat when they're questioning it to this extent. All of them have to add the caveat of, well, the answer can't possibly be Donald Trump. So clearly we're looking for something else, which is why they're wandering aimlessly through the fucking wilderness, yelling at fucking fallen trees, looking for answers to the Epstein files. Meanwhile, the guy they elected that's clearly sitting in the golden White House right now, stripping this country clean of not only its financial fucking, in financial ruins and stripping everybody clean of their rights, but is clearly perpetrating this cover-up. And they just don't allow themselves to give the simple, most fucking easy answer, right?
But this is definitely not a hoax. And if you've got redacted people's names and these people aren't victims, you're not protecting the victim. So what are you doing?
Right.
And how come all this shit is not released? Like,
you would think that all of it would just, like, get rid of all of it. Just expel it all.
You would think. One would think that's what would happen. But again, there's just this one thing kind of holding that back, kind of stopping that from happening. I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but it seems to be a big, bloated, wrinkly, crusty, orange fucking thing now wearing a suit in the White House. Can't tell what it is, but I think that's what it is.
Crazy. So this is the
Look at him.
conspiracy
Look
to
at him.
try.
He's like, oh, Jesus. He's about to melt down because he can't possibly bring himself to the again, Occam's razor, the most and easiest answer directly in front of his face.
That's the most crazy because I don't like it. The fear of these like literally demonic human beings that are running the world and don't give a fuck about human lives and enjoy watching people being tortured, enjoy watching people killed, participating in ritual sacrifice of people. And
now, just imagine one of them was in the White House. Just imagine them one of them being the president of the. Oh no, he is. Oh, okay, he doesn't have to imagine that. He doesn't. No, he voted for him. He voted for the guy. Oh, okay, all right, Joe. I mean, just the hypocrisy here is just almost too much to fucking expound upon. But I mean, you can see him. The mental gymnastics that have to be done up until this point in 2026 to still not know why this is happening, to still not know like why people are so mad and upset and hate Donald Trump so much is like, okay, we're beyond that point, Joe. We're well beyond that, and you're just fucking you're trailing at this point. You're far behind. You're about to get lapped, Chief. Okay. And this is some of the shit that he's talking about. This is some of the shit that he should be talking about. Because this is, again, put out by TMZ. I want to say yesterday. Yeah, they put this out yesterday titled, Epstein was cloning babies, ... Right? And I'm going to speed it up just a touch. And I'm going to try to get through as much of this as we possibly can. I'm going to have to dip and dive and dodge through it because obviously we're not going to have the time to go through the whole thing. But, I would definitely advise people. Because, again, as we've been saying, it gets darker and more disgusting by the day. Since we went live here, more people have sifted through more files and found out more information just since we went live 1 hour and 1 minute ago. That's how fast this stuff is evolving. That's how fast the information is coming out, right? And again, this is just the latest here from TMZ. I'm no huge fan of TMZ, but I think we're going to be using a lot of different channels and people that may not necessarily be, prominently featured on some of these things because anybody that's digging through these files, anybody that's coming out with any information, we need to look at. We need to make sure that we're fucking highlighting, making sure that investigations take place so that we can confirm or deny these things. So I don't care whose channel or account they come from. If it's information coming out that we need to look at, we're going to fucking look at it. All right. So again, this is probably one of the more darker situations to come out of this. Probably the more, the crazier situations to come out of this. But again, TMZ, Epstein was cloning babies, ? Let's dive into it.
Alfredo, how are you? Nice to meet you. Come on in.
And again, he'll set the stage here afterwards. But what you're looking at is obviously an undercover video of what I believe is Jeffrey Epstein's assistant trying to sell the black book or a black book of Jeffrey Epstein's phone numbers, the clientele, different people to what is an undercover FBI agent, right? So just to kind of set the stage here, that's what you're watching.
Good. You have the documents? Yeah, I have it. I have a friend over there. I just want to see that you have everything so we can. Absolutely. You have a friend right out here? Yeah, he's in the car. Okay, I just want to talk to you though. No. He's not going to come in. Okay. All right, let me grab it. I'll show you.
What you just saw there is a bombshell video of an FBI sting operation released by the DOJ featuring Epstein's old butler, Alfredo Rodriguez. In this video, it looks like Rodriguez believes he is selling a personal notebook of Epstein's to someone representing a lawyer of Epstein's victims. Now, Rodriguez claims the contents of this book is full of the names and contact information of wealthy businessmen with whom Jeffrey Epstein was associated. Take a look at some of the shocking clips we have from this video and notice when Rodriguez mentions Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly being in possession of a database including naked underage girls.
I know the audio is tough, but he's talking. You can see the I'll get out of the way so you can see the text on the screen there. But he's saying all the phone numbers for the girls, all the massages. He said, I had the subpoena I had to write down. So this is the guy that also testified, I believe, in the Ghislaine Maxwell case, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong in that. It says you'll see a lot of important people here. But let me just show you and then it's redacted. Person will blank Epstein, their address in New York, emails. They asked me, and then it's redacted. Said they used to have a computer so powerful, they used to have it watered down. They water it indiscriminately to cool the computer because they used to download pictures so fast of underage girls, women, as he's trying to talk about here, that they had to fucking cool the water. They had to cool the computer with water. He says, you saw all that stuff? He says, yes. Pictures of the girls? Yes. Were they hiding stuff like that? Yes. He says, I testified that. That's why they need the guy to fix the Citrix systems. He lives in Ohio. I'm going to him. And then it's redacted.
Rodriguez was subsequently arrested for failing to turn over the book to authorities and eventually pleaded guilty to obstruction charges, and Rodriguez later passed away in 2016. And as time goes on, the internet continues to uncover more shocking files released by the DOJ, such as one referencing cloning babies, but I will get into that later. What I want to talk about now is a statement on the Pam Bondi hearing that was posted on the family social media account for Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted of sex trafficking in connection with Epstein and is currently serving 20 years.
I think we'll skip past this point because he goes on to reference an email put out by, I believe, the family of Ghislaine Maxwell, if I'm not mistaken, referencing a statement made by Pam Bondi in which she said that she hopes Ghislaine Maxwell dies in prison, end quote. And basically their statement about this, which is strange considering the preferential treatment that Ghislaine has seen from this exact administration, from these exact people. So again, I think we can skip past that and get to the basis of the story. He also goes through and talks about the questioning here. We can play this too, because we also discussed Howard Lutnick and the lies that he told about bringing his family to the island, and how he supposedly was cutting ties after he went over and saw the masseuse table and yada yada yada. Clearly he was lying, because several years later he brought his family, his friends, and their kids to Epstein's Island to have a little bit of a brunch. You know what I mean? And KKK Caroline was questioned about this, and I'll let them play her response here.
Testifying on the Hill, and he said that he had visited Epstein's Island in 2012 with his wife and children, and that's after he said that he had cut ties with Epstein. And the Justice Department documents show that he was in contact with Epstein through 2018 over messages. So does the White House stand behind?
2018 over messages. So we're talking about, I believe the first encounter he said was in 2005. Again, correct me if I'm wrong in this. And then the time where he went and took his kids to the island was in 2012, but was in communication with Epstein through this way or that way until 2018. Again, not suspicious, not somebody you think should be immediately disbarred, fired, fucking resigned, whatever, investigated, obviously. And listen to Caroline's response.
Secretary Lutnick right now, or given what he has said today, has there been any shift in how the White House is viewing Secretary Lutnick's performance?
That question, does the White House still stand behind Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, came after Lutnick admitted under oath that he visited Jeffrey Epstein's island in 2012 with his wife and children.
And we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left.
Don't worry, guys. Don't worry, guys. He brought all of his kids home. Remember, he brought all of the kids home. No children were sacrificed in the making of that brunch, at least not on that day. We don't know what took place while they were there, but they did come home. We don't know what shape they came home in, but they did come home. All of the bodies, all of the children did come home with Howard Lutnick. Again, he wants to make that very clear from his statement here that he gave. All the kids did come home. They would no kids left behind on Lutnick's watch.
With my nannies and my wife all together.
Now, this contradicts a previous statement he made where he claimed to have cut all ties with Epstein in 2005. And what's even crazier is that newly released documents appear to show that Lutnick remained in contact.
Here's Caroline's response.
A very important member of.
Hold on, I'll play the whole thing. Here's Caroline's response to the question.
This mattered to the White House, and the response was this.
No, Secretary Lutnick remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary. I will just point out that there are a lot of wins.
A very important member still, in that the president supports the secretary. Of course he does. Why wouldn't he? He's a fucking, birds of a feather, right? Flock together, motherfuckers. Why wouldn't he support them? They're all the same person. They're all the same decrepit, disgusting human being. Of course they support each other. But you can just tell You can just tell that KKK Caroline knows damn well that this statement is going to live in infamy, right? So this direct question, hey, you know that guy, you know, that secretary there that works, you know, closely with your boss there, the president guy, you know, that one that lied directly to us about, you know, his involvement in his relationship with Epstein, and actually went to the island and had communications with Epstein well after it came out that he was a child sex predator. Yeah, you know that guy that's still working for the government? Yeah, do you still support him? Does the president still support him? And this was the answer given, and this will go down in infamy. It really will.
Matter to the White House, and the response was this.
No, Secretary Lutnick remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary. I will just point out that there are a lot of wins in the news this week that people in this room have not asked about because you continue.
And then she goes on to do the Pam Bondi. So you can't tell me this wasn't a memo that went out, right? That you can't tell me this wasn't direct instructions, that this isn't a playbook. Because she just did the same thing Pam Bondi did. Yeah, I know you're all wondering about the Epstein files and all the administrators and people working in this administration that we have involved in those files, but can we talk about the wins? Can we talk about the stock market? Let's talk about the weather. Aren't you guys cold? Like, they'll talk about anything and everything other than the Epstein files. And she just pulled the same tactic that Pam Bondi was pulling in her committee hearing, in her testimony the other day. Well, I can't believe you guys are still talking about the Epstein files. Don't you know that the NASDAQ's up? Like, stick it up your ass.
Ask questions about the same subject, so let me point them out for you.
No, I don't think I let you. I will let you. But then, just for the sake of time, I'm going to go on because they go on to reference a couple moments in Pam Bondi's testimony, which we already played. And then I want to get into the email that they reference in which the cloning, baby cloning. Let me repeat that. The baby cloning was mentioned and referenced. Here we go.
Bishop sent an email to Epstein that reads, attached is the doc you requested. It's the use of funds spreadsheet for the designer baby and human cloning company. This gets us out of our self-funded garage biology phase to the first.
Jesus fucking Christ. From Jeffrey E. JEE vacation at Gmail to Brian Bishop. Subject, designer babies. Use of funds. Sunday, August 5th, 2018. 2018. Okay? Attached is the doc you requested. It's the, quote, use of funds spreadsheet for the designer baby and human cloning company. This gets us out of our self-funded, quote, garage biology, end quote, phase to the first live birth of a human designer baby. Let me just in case anybody's coming in late here. This gets us out of our self-funded garage biology. Garage biology. Also, just two words you definitely want to see together all the fucking time, right? That's just definitely what I want to see. It's almost like garage surgery. That's another one. That's another one you always want to see them together. Phase 2 for the first live birth of a human designer baby. And will possibly a human clone within 5 years. Once we reach the first birth, everything changes and the world will never be the same again, much less the future of the human species. Attached doc shows $1.7 million a year for up to 5 years, plus $1 million for a lab setup, $9.5 million to fund 5 years, $6 million for 3 years. Next step, I am happy to hop on another call, or I can make a trip to meet you in person. And if you have any thoughts about what I might be missing and whether this is a reasonable estimate to give, first estimate to get to the first live birth, I would really appreciate any feedback. I am traveling in Lithuania. Again, just strange how we're continuously referencing Eastern European countries in this and how they're always there. I am traveling in Lithuania from August 7th to August 14th, and I'll probably be unreachable during that time. Thank you, Brian. Now, when we tell you that this is getting fucking crazy, right? When this is getting dark, when this is getting, well past the point of sickening, this is just, again, another little example that we're talking about that's referenced in these files. Quite literally, the subject fucking on this email is designer babies. What the fuck is a designer baby? What the fuck is garage biology? And why are you making humans in a garage? $10 million to fund for 5 years, $6 million for 3 years. So we're not talking about fucking chump change here. We're not talking about a small financial contribution. Seems like a substantial thing that we're talking about here, in which they're hoping to lead, once again, to the first live birth of a human designer baby and possibly a human clone within 5 years. Fucking craziness. Absolute lunacy. They go on to read this as I did. I just want to kind of get the reaction to it, and then we'll dive on to our next story here. But holy shit. And these are the people, again, that are still walking freely amongst us, you know, barring the 10 or 11 or 13 people that, again, have had to step down, resign, had their titles stripped from them, whatever. Again, just the smallest, most minute thing that we could possibly do up to this point. But these sick oh boy, are these sick motherfuckers. But it gets worse by the day. It does. It gets worse. But again, this is what the DOJ say they're not going to investigate. There's nothing out there, Kash Patel says, for anything to suggest that people were trafficked to anybody other than Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell. These are the lines that they're still feeding you. Just the other day, the FBI came out and said still that there was no evidence to suggest that there was a wide-scale international trafficking ring. No? Okay. How do we know about it then? How does fucking blunt politics and the best chat on the internet, the best chat on social media here, the Bryantologists, know about it, and fucking Kash Patel doesn't, and Pam Bondi doesn't, and Todd Blanche doesn't? Of course they do, which then begs the question, why are you covering it up? Which then leads me to only one direction: the President of the United fucking States of America.
In the files allegedly sent from Jeffrey Epstein to a man named Barnaby Marshy reads, should we build a mind reader? It would use de-encryption, new understandings of the brain. Can we involve the New York ACAD of Sciences in one of our...
Right, because if cloning and designer babies wasn't enough, of course, the next step would be mind reading. In case you're wondering kind of how far this goes, or how far they were willing to have it go. Should we build a mind reader? Who talks like this? Who thinks about this shit? Who has the funding and the time? Right? And you wonder why we talk about fucking, taxing billionaires until they can't fucking move anymore. Taxing billionaires, taxing the rich until they're fucking paralyzed. Right? Eat them motherfuckers. Because this is exactly what they do while you guys are fucking slaving away day after day, getting paid absolute shit to fucking make these companies buku fucking billions of dollars so that the CEOs go out and buy their fucking 14th yacht, 17th helicopter, 18th mansion, and they're fucking talking about what? Mind readers. They're talking about fucking designer babies, cloning, buying all these properties all over the place so you can build these secret bunkers and tunnel systems way out in the remote fucking New Mexico desert so nobody knows who you're killing, who you're torturing. These are what they ain't helping society. I know that. They ain't building roads and bridges and fucking railways and high-speed internet, right? They're not getting fucking vets off the street. They're not making sure that affordable housing is a thing or that people could access fucking free healthcare to make sure that they have the ability to keep themselves alive. None of that shit's happening. But they got all the fucking technology and the money in the world to go towards designer babies and mind reading. Tax those motherfuckers out of existence is what I say. How about that? How about that? You want a fucking reason as to why we're discussing that and why we don't think they're doing the right thing with the profit? This is what's happening with the profits. They've gotten so rich, so powerful, they don't know what the fuck to do with it other than to please their most, disgusting and decrepit fantasies in real life. And it's fucking gross. And, and this was something that we were showing yesterday from CoffeeZilla about how it's a joke to this administration, right? Remember how we were showing, Howard Nuttlick fucking chuckling like a fucking blow-up doll, every time that Epstein's name was mentioned or a question was asked of it by from Donald Trump. Now, we left off here, and there's a couple other things. What time we got? We got 3:19, so we got about, 40 minutes? Sorry, let me do a little bit of calculations in my head here and how much we got to dive into. Let's see here. Maybe I'll do this one first. I'll dive into this one first, just to kind of break it up a little bit. Because I know it's obviously a ridiculously, thought-provoking, emotion-provoking, and stressful topic to kind of dive into. So, this was put out by Kyle Kalinske, and something we've also been talking about here on the Blunt Politics podcast, which is the ongoing attempts and little fucking things that are going on behind the scenes that are making it look like Donald Trump and the Republicans are doing anything they possibly can to throw a twig into the spokes of the bicycle that is the midterm elections or elections going forward. And I think this is one of them that we have to listen to as well. So again, just the first couple minutes here from Kyle's video talking about Trump will steal the midterms and maybe what's going on behind the scenes and why the arrest and kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro didn't really make sense and still doesn't to a lot of us. But what could possibly be going on behind the scenes as far as what they want Maduro to say as far as Venezuelan involvement in our elections, and maybe giving him a more favorable outcome, a more favorable sentence, let's just say, for something that they're asking him to talk about. So again, we'll just dive into a minute or two of this, and then we'll dive on to, again, some of the other aspects that we want to talk about. We got a ton to dive into as far as the Preston Stewart diving into the Ukrainian and Australian volunteer in Ukraine, and then obviously the Noah Sampson video here depicting the Gaza ceasefire lie. So we won't spend too much time on this, but I do think it's important that we stay on top of whatever changes and schemes and tactics they're trying to pull or could possibly be pulling, so that we're not caught with our pants down, right? We're not caught blindsided when they try to at some point enact or invoke these policies or the plans that they have, whatever they may be. So again, just a little bit of this, and then we'll dive on. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button. A lot of people watching are not subscribed. If you feel yourself liking what you're seeing, if you find yourself coming back, please hit that subscribe button. It's free to do so. Won't change anything about anything. Won't cost you a penny. Same thing with the like button. Just goes a long way in helping the show and letting people in YouTube know that you're engaged and like what you're watching, so they send it out to other people. That's all I ask. Again, no ads, no financial backers, no content hidden behind a paywall. I don't sell you any products that I don't actually use, but I'm going to tell you that they changed my life. It's 100% viewer involved, viewer funded, all because of the generosity of you guys, and that you find some education, information, killing time in the day. You find some purpose, you find some enjoyment in the show, and that's how we stay going. So let's get to 20,000 subscribers, and it's only with your help that we're going to get there. Thank you so much to everybody sending a Venmo, which is up in the corner. $1 or $2 is all I ask for. Anything above and beyond that's totally 100% up to you. Patreon.com, sign up for membership. Any way you can help, greatly appreciated. Appreciate you guys. And if you sent in a super chat or a super sticker, stick around to the end of the show. We always make sure to highlight and appreciate everybody that sends in a financial contribution. So stick around. Appreciate you guys. Again, Kyle Kalinske, titled Trump Will Steal the Midterms. Let's talk about it.
All right, welcome to the show, y'all. It is Wednesday, February 11th, and boy, oh boy, do I have an amazing one for you. So in just a minute, we have Trump's diabolical plot to steal the election in the midterms is exposed. I'm going to walk you through exactly how he's likely to do it. And there's some super important messages as part of this. So stick around, because I'm going to tell you our way out of it. And you need to spread that word far and wide as much as you can. So we'll talk about that. We also have Epstein updates. Trump is apparently, and I'm not kidding about this, in the Epstein files 1 million times. In the redacted files, it was 38,000 times, which I thought was bad enough because that's more than Jesus is mentioned in the Bible. But no, in the unredacted files, he's in there 1 million times. So we'll talk about that. We have the FBI caught deleting footage of Epstein's death. I'm not kidding. Like, every time I give you update, they sound fake. They sound made up. They sound like, come on, man, there's no way that's real. This is like some fictional plot ass shit happening right now. No, wrong. It's real. We'll get into that. Also, Congressman Ro Khanna outed 6 co-conspirators in the Epstein files on the floor of Congress. That's incredible, and it's fucking brave, because he's
I'm just going to skip on where he talks about the main topic. My apologies. I think this is the beginning of his live show. He goes over the topics he's covering here.
Trump affair revealed. We now have our second piece of confirmation that Trump was indeed engaging in an affair. I'll give you the details on that. Also, Trump is starving Cuba to death. Horrific story there. Joe Rogan's transition to total sellout is now complete. We have Abba and Preach exposing Rogan on that front, and then also later on, the disturbing illegal biolab in Vegas that they don't want you to know about. And then beyond that, I do have more stories, but we're going to jump right into it here in just a second. And you guys know the drill, man. Everybody, please do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. That, of course, means the world. It helps us out tremendously. It spreads the videos around the algorithm. And if you want to basically dodge the algorithm because they don't love political channels, Patreon, because remember, this is Substack. And, of course, go sub to Head and jump right in. We got a lot of stuff to get through. So, guys, I'm going to walk you through this piece by piece, okay? So first, let me show you some just disturbing pieces of evidence here that really show in no uncertain terms the nefarious, diabolical plot that Trump and his regime are working on in order to steal the midterms. So first, we have Eric Levitz, who says, Tulsi Gabbard has been investigating baseless allegations that Venezuelan hackers rigged the 2020 election. That's alarming, as it could indicate that Trump is trying to establish a national security rationale for seizing voting machines in November.
So again, maybe this alone wouldn't be a standout thing, but again, you put this with the raid in Fulton County, again, the quid pro quos, the actions in trying to get their hands on the voter rolls, the fighting the Democrats at every turn, whether they're trying to redistrict, the redistricting themselves, the problems that they now find themselves facing because of the redistricting that the Republicans have already done. And they did that in the hopes, in the thoughts that they would continue getting the Latino vote, the expansion of the Latino vote that they were getting. But they've seen that, completely reversed, completely flipped. So now they find themselves scrambling. But this could just be another piece. And he goes on to more in-depthly talk about the association between, again, Venezuela, the 2020 election, the Maduro kidnapping. And again, could this be a reason as to why Donald Trump was saying we need to, nationalize the voting, right? They need to, quote, take over the voting in 14, 15, 16 different places. We don't know yet. But again, I'm not leaving anything untouched. I am not saying that anything is out of the realm of possibility at this point in time. I'm going to continue to cover anybody who wants to talk about it, any bit of information, any article, any fucking piece of news, any lawsuit, anything like this where Tulsi Gabbard has been investigating baseless allegations that Venezuela hackers rigged the 2020 election so that they may possibly use this in the future as justification to do this, that, or the other thing. So we're not going to be blindsided. You here at Blunt Politics won't be blindsided when this eventually comes out, if it does, right? You'll be like, oh, no, we heard about that before. We knew this was coming. And this is the fucking plan of action that we have in order to, call this shit out or, again, avoid all of this in totality. But we need to talk about it, whether it's real, whether it's, something they're actually going to do, actually thinking about or not. Let's be ready for it.
So, as you all know, Trump illegally abducted the sovereign president of a foreign country, Venezuela. Even though they weren't any threat to us whatsoever, they weren't going to attack us. Well, one of the things we learned early on is that allegedly the federal government behind the scenes is trying to convince Maduro to say, hey, I helped steal the election for Joe Biden in order to get a lighter sentence. This is
again, think about that. Is that out of the realm of possibility? Do we put that past the fucking maniacal thinking of the Trump regime? Or anything that they're, willing to do to get out of or to try to gain control or to keep control, I should say? Is that out of the realm of possibility? Hey, let's kidnap Maduro. What we'll do, we'll get him over here. We'll tell him all he's got to do is say that Venezuela absolutely stole the election for Joe Biden, and we can let him off with a much lighter sentence. That'll give us the justification to steal the voting machines, to go in with ICE and put them at these locations and that location, right? Sounds plausible to me. I wouldn't be surprised. I know that. I wouldn't be blown away. I wouldn't be shocked, right? It wouldn't be like, oh, something I never thought this administration would be capable of. Nope. Right in line with what I think they're fucking doing, would do, have been doing, wanting to do, can do. All of it.
Brilliant idea. In the same way he's getting like the well-known liar, Ghislaine Maxwell, to try to clear his name, even though she's a prolific bullshitter. Now he's also going, yeah, let's get the guy who we were just calling a vicious dictator 7 seconds ago. Let's have him say something and pretend like it's gospel. Okay, so just absolutely disturbing. To give you some more specifics on it, in November 2020, Trump's attorney Sidney Powell falsely claimed that the voting machine companies Dominion and Smartmatic were secretly Venezuelan in Powell's.
Remember this, guys? Remember this? We talk about Hugo Chavez a lot, but we forget about what fucking the totality of Sidney Powell's false claims that she made. Whether it was, the satellites in Italy or Maduro in Venezuela, seems all tied back into what's going on and what's taking place right now, doesn't it? So it says here in December 2020, on the basis of such conspiracy theories, Powell pitched the president on an audacious plan, declare a national security emergency and order the National Guard to seize voting machines in swing states. In an interview with the New York Times last month, Trump said that he regretted not acting on this advice. Given context, Gabbard's presence in the Fulton County raid and her newly revealed search for evidence of Venezuela hacking in Puerto Rico are alarming. So again, this goes right hand in hand with not only what we're talking about as far as the Sidney Powell bullshit of the 2020 election, but even having Tulsi Gabbard at the fucking Fulton County raid, right? Remember the questions that were raised? Why is she there? What does she have to do with anything? What jurisdiction does she have in Fulton County over these fucking voting machines? Well, if it's all tied to her fucking little, Venezuelan hacker investigation, and they're going to use that as justification, which is why they've been now recently speaking more and more about the 2020 election. I'm sure you've seen the uptick. I'm sure you've heard the bullshit start coming around again. Is it all tied together? I'm not sure yet, but if it is, we're going to be on top of it and we're going to be ready for it.
Those firms' machines were designed by the Chavez regime, who was dead, by the way, at the time, to facilitate election rigging. It quickly became gospel on parts of the right that Venezuelan President Maduro had exploited secret programming with Dominion's machines to flip votes to Biden. In December 2020, on the basis of such conspiracy theories, Powell pitched the president on an audacious plan, declare a national security emergency, and order the National Guard to seize voting machines in swing.
And again, it can't be any more closely related, tied together. And again, I just read that for you, so I'll go on to the next portion of this. But does it all sound familiar? Doesn't it all sound familiar? They have the same playbook. They have the same repetitive fucking ideas. They have the same played out bullshit that they continuously feed and throw down the throats of these MAGA morons that continue to fucking eat it up like it's ivermectin, baby. Right? But it goes on.
The nightmare scenario for November's midterms has grown more plausible. The nightmare scenario for this year's elections has long gone something like this. Ready? Control of the House comes down to a small number of close races. Republicans lead on Election Day in many of these contests, but their advantage steadily erodes as mail-in ballots arrive. Okay? That's what's known as the red mirage scenario, which happened in 2020, which helped feed the conspiracy theories, even though we knew it was going to happen. In fact, I was on the Joe Rogan Experience at the time before he lost his fucking...
All in together. Listen to the, to the what they're giving into mail-in ballots there, excuse me. Listen to how much importance they're giving to them. So again, we already talked about the mail-in voting change, about the dates in which they're going to be labeled, in which they're going to be labeled as late. So again, check your counties, check your states, check whatever fucking changes are happening in, whatever mail-in ballot voting changes are happening. Make sure you're up to speed on that. Make sure you get your ballots in early. Make sure you do it the right way. You fucking cross your T's, dot your I's, whatever needs to happen, you do it. Right? But make sure you're on top of these law changes and the rule changes so that you're not left out, so that your vote isn't discounted. Right? But again, the emphasis put on the mail-in ballots as far as Democrats and how it always seems to fucking give us the lead and the win at the end of it. Because they're the last counted, they typically go for the in-person ballot voting and the counting first. So they just, like Kyle was saying, the red mirage theory, where it seems like they're winning all night, and then just at the fucking last hour, just at the nth hour, right, the Democrats come and steal it away. Well, now they're trying to, in any way, try to discount any mail-in ballots with the fucking rule changes that are absolutely going to have an effect. Now, pair that up with having ICE at the ballots, at the stations, right, that are definitely going to keep people away. With the, these investigations, add it all up, and you can see that they're specifically looking at what's going on in the midterm elections and how they can try to affect change in those elections. It's pretty clear to this point. There's more than enough evidence to suggest this is a clear fucking plan that they have, and clearly something that they're looking at.
And I was telling him and Tim Dillon, here's what's likely to happen. The election day votes come in, they will skew more Republican. Then as the mail-in votes come in, they will skew heavily Democratic, and Biden will overtake Trump. Okay? Now they're saying that's likely to happen again this time, but this time Trump's going to act. Ready? The White House attributes these adverse trends to mass voter fraud and demands a halt to vote counting. So instead of acknowledging, yes, mail-in votes skew overwhelmingly Democratic and day of votes skew Republican, they're going to pretend, no, this is evidence of fraud. The fact that Democrats are winning the mail-in vote and overtaking the lead means that's fraud. That's what they're going to say.
And again, that's the same bullshit, the same red mirage, like he said, the same fucking talking points we heard from the 2020 election. And look at what it says on the bottom. When states refuse to comply, the White House orders the military to seize ballots and voting machines from pivotal precincts before all votes have been tallied. The chain of custody over these ballots breaks down, making the election's true winner impossible to determine. The House's incumbent GOP majority then asserts the authority to seat the Republican candidates in the contested races. American democracy, as we've known it, ends. Right? So this is just, a theory, a kind of, this is what could possibly happen or what is likely to happen if we allow them to get away with what they are likely to be doing and what they're likely up to behind the scenes, right? So if states refuse to comply to the White House's orders, they just order the military to seize the ballots and the voting machines, right? Before all the votes have been counted. Therefore, the chain of custody breaks down, and we can't determine who the true winner is. And then they just assert themselves as the true winner of the elections, and the House's incumbent GOP majority then asserts the authority to seat the Republican candidates in the contested races. So that the power that they would hold on to, used to say, nope, none of those fucking votes count. We're just going to make it all up, and we're just going to use the power that we now have to seat the Republican candidate in these contested races. Excuse me, on the microphone. Which, again, not even just in theory, would end democracy in America as we know it, in the United States. Right? So absolutely something that we need to be vigilant about, something that we need to stay on top of. And, I'm sure this isn't the last of the little plan that they have, the last of the little fucking, actions that they're going to undertake in order to undermine our election systems.
When states refuse to comply, the White House orders the military to seize ballots.
For the sake of time, let me see if I can. What do we got here? 3:35. So we should probably see if I can jump onto at least a little bit of this. I say we'll hop into about 10 minutes more of this. And then we'll go into, again, we'll finish it off with the Noah Samson Gaza ceasefire lie, if you'll allow me to do so. But yeah, I definitely want people to be up to speed on what's taking place, right? And don't be blindsided. Don't be fucking caught out in the wilderness. Don't be caught with your pants down when inevitably these people who have power and love it so much and refuse to give it up, and they can see the numbers heading into midterms, do something to try to fucking skew the numbers or to try to, in any way overhaul the election systems or to try to nationalize the election systems. Let's be ready for it. And our politicians should be speaking up about this shit and should have a plan A, B, and C ready to go when this shit inevitably happens. So make sure, the calls to your politicians, your calls to your senators, your calls to your congresspeople, make sure you're including this and saying, hey, we need to be up to speed on this. You need to be looking at this, and don't be fucking blindsided when inevitably they try to cheat and steal in the midterms to try to hold on to as much power as humanly possible. All right, so let's dive into this where we left off yesterday. We only got through a little bit of it, and I apologize for that because I do think that there are some great insights to come from this. I know not everybody is as interested, in what's taking place again around the globe. I think you very much should be, and I think it's a downside to anybody that kind of tunes out and doesn't pay attention to this stuff. But understood, a lot going on in this country, a lot going on in people's individuals' lives as well. But I will be here to continuously call this stuff out, to report on it, to talk about what's going on the front lines, not only in Ukraine, but also what's taking place in Gaza and elsewhere around the world as atrocities pop up. But we unfortunately, there's so much going on and so much to cover. There's only so much that we could get through. So I'm trying to do my best here. So why don't we say we dive into a little bit more of this Preston Stewart. And again, they're talking to an Australian and an American volunteer that have been fighting on the front lines in Ukraine. And this is just, firsthand account, firsthand insight as to how the drone warfare has changed, what the front lines look like, how you can maneuver, just what the things actually look like on the front lines right now. So again, I thought it'd be very important of us to kind of stay in tune as to what these people are speaking about, talking about, experiencing, going through, and again, how much change and help we could affect, especially with the fundraisers and the T-shirts and everything that we're involved in, and trying to get anything, any assistance in any equipment over there that we possibly can. So I'm going to dive back into this again. Preston Stewart, Frozen Front. It's titled "The Brutal Reality of Winter Combat." And again, like I said, just about 10 minutes of this, and then we'll dive on to our final video of the day. and then I'll get you guys out of here, as I always do. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I really, really hope that people are subscribing if you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing. It goes a long way, and it's an easy click for you. I appreciate it.
Not to mention, and then the amount of extra fuel that they have to use to
And again,
generate.
we kind of cut off here as they were discussing the impacts of the frigid weather, right? Of the extreme cold that everybody is now facing on the front lines. And he's speaking about the impact of, everything that even you wouldn't even think of: cell phone batteries, drone batteries, chargers for this, that, or the other thing, whatever, your tools that you need to use in order to construct your shelter or whatever it may be. Like, all of this is affected by the brutal cold. Not just the physical body, not just the mental aspects, but even everything, to making food, to making coffee, to making tea, to getting warm, all of it, right? Trying to stay dry. It all becomes a fucking task. It all becomes, that much more difficult when, the winter months come into play, when the fucking snow, the sleet, the rain, the mud, all of it comes into play. And that's why it's been what's the word I'm looking for? So crazy to see that the Ukrainians have been able to continuously take as many Russians off the battlefield as they've been able to continuously take off, so that 800 to 1,000 number per 24 hours of Russians either killed or wounded taken off the battlefield has persisted, even when the amount of actions, the amount of attacks, and the amount of things undertaken have slowed. So this just goes to show how much it's going to pick back up, and what the Russians are in for when the weather does start to change, when the ground starts to thaw out, when the fucking days become longer, when more drones are able to get into the skies, right? And that's what they're discussing here. So just a little bit of context into what we kind of covered yesterday. And again, we're only about 3 minutes in, so there's a lot going on to this. This is about 45 minutes in length. We'll cover about the next 10 minutes, and then we'll dive on. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much again. This is the Blood Politics Podcast. I'm Boston Brian. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button.
It is running to charge everything as well, and you get a generator go down. You get fog that sits in, or heavy sleet or heavy snow that sits in for 5 or 6 days. You just know that the guys out there, they aren't getting resupplied with food. So it's essentially just scuttling around the AO without getting shot, going from house to house, trying to find food if you can. But we're talking about AOs that guys have been in now for 3 months. Most of the food's been collected. When I was out there, we were black on food and water for 3 to 4 days. They just couldn't get it done.
3 to 4 days in minus 20 degrees. I mean, say it warms up to 5, 10, 15 degrees during the day, back down, because, in the winter months, even when it does warm up, it doesn't warm up for long. When they say that high temperature at noon or 1 o'clock, it's going to be about that high temperature for about 13 seconds. Right. So that the temperature drastically goes down at night, obviously. And to go 3 or 4 days without food or deliveries because of fog or snow or sleet or hail or whatever it may be, and they're left to, again, scrounge for themselves, go into, different houses and see what canned food that they can come up with, and, fucking hunting basically on their own, whatever it means. I mean, you can see how difficult it is just to fucking stay alive in the winter months, never mind be part of a successful attack. You know what I mean?
Out to us. And once they did get a drone out to us, it kind of tried to lower down a bit more, because our location, they had to drop the food from about 100 meters. And they lowered down a little bit too much. The drone lost disconnection, like it disconnected from the remote and just crashed into the building and then landed on the floor. So, -1 vampire.
Oh, a big one too. Okay.
Yeah, and then obviously troop movements. One, your footprints in the snow, they're able to give away the location. Most of the guys that are out there have been out there now for a month or two, don't have correct cold weather gear, are essentially going through the buildings and trying to find anything that they can. I've got a picture my mate sent me. He's wearing some luxurious fur coat that he found in some MFA. Yeah, so, he's good at least, but gloves are an issue. Hand warmers, like trying to get hand warmers out to the guys just to stop frostbite, because frostbite is a reality in -29 degrees.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine trench foot, frostbite, hypothermia, malnutrition. I mean, you name it. And again, these people, these soldiers are experiencing it on the front lines. And again, this is above and beyond the attacks. This is above and beyond the drone warfare and the artillery and, you know, the Russian horde trying to come in. This is all just trying to stay alive on a daily basis, just to be able to engage the enemy. So again, to recognize what everybody goes through, you know, what different individuals go through as far as this war is concerned, and not just talking about the war from, you know, the 30,000-foot view as like chess pieces on a map and just colors of areas overtaken by this military or that military, but to get down to the real and firsthand accounting of people that have experienced this. I mean, volunteers, again, these aren't Ukrainians, they're Australians and an American. Right. So again, I picked this one because it's probably, he's speaking in terms that we can understand. You know, obviously the language barrier isn't there. You know, not to say that there's nothing to be gleaned, obviously, from listening to a Ukrainian civilian or military service member speak, but you know, it's just easier to digest when, you know, it's not something that's in subtitles. I just thought it would be easier for us to kind of understand and follow what's taking place on the front lines. So again, not only is he speaking to this Australian, but he's also speaking to the American here. I think he goes on to ask him a question next.
Can you talk about how this one compares, maybe?
Yeah, so with the unit I was at before, actually, we usually were sidelined during the wintertime. Most of them were doing their heavy fighting in the summer and the spring and into the fall. And then because this unit was a Crimean unit originally, so they're used to the warm weather, they always try to avoid doing any stuff in the wintertime, which is probably a lot easier on the logistics, because right now, this is my first time dealing with this, like active fighting and stuff like that within the wintertime. And it is just destroying the vehicles. Like when I haven't been on the line, I've been busy just trying to keep some of the other team leaders' vehicles going around safe houses, trying to help out with vehicles and stuff like that. I know a lot of people have been having issues with generators.
And again, I mean, what a better time to kind of chime in here, whereas he's talking about the importance of vehicles, than to bring up the ongoing campaign that we have with Help 99 and the NAFO 69th Sniffing Brigade boys to get a truck over to the 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade. I mean, you can hear here the wear and tear just the winter months has on the vehicles, not even the shots that they're taking and the drones that are actively seeking these fucking military vehicles out. But you know, the potholes, the snow, the cold weather, whatever it is. I mean, the importance of getting vehicles over there at a rapid rate is now more important than ever, I would suggest. So again, we're up to 104 donations. Thank you guys so much for you know, your help and your assistance in this, whether you've donated or just shared it out. We're now up over 11,700 euro raised, 57% of the way there. So every day we get a little bit closer, and I can't thank you enough. We're not talking about a small chunk of money. We're not talking about small chump change here. I understand that this is a substantial thing that is actually going to take some community to get it accomplished, and that's exactly what we've seen here, is the community come together here at Blunt Politics, whether again you're donating yourself or you're just sharing it out to people that you think may be able to contribute. You've all done a fantastic job, and I commend you and appreciate you for the work that you continue to do, not only in this chat but other chats all over the leftist sphere for other creators, and I can't thank you enough. So thank you again to the Help 99 crew, the 69 Sniffing Brigade, and everybody else that's contributed to this to get us at least 57% of the way there after 104 donations. And again, thank you to everybody that's listed on the wall. Michael with a $247 donation. Let's fucking go, Michael. Can't thank you enough. Pierrette, 162C. Melissa, Doran, that's me from the Blunt Politics crew. Helga, Yakov, thank you, brother. Drago, and the rest of you fine individuals. Christian, Thomas, and I'm sure there's more even listed that I can't see. So thank you so much to everybody who has contributed or shared it out in any way. It's for a great cause. And again, as you're hearing here, the firsthand accounting of how important it is to continuously get vehicles to the front line so the men and the women of the Ukrainian armed forces have a way to get around consistently. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your help on that one.
Also, all these power outages probably aren't helping a lot of people as well. So it's a lot of plugging holes and stuff like that. But just having one running car means that you're running around helping all these people with car issues. So it's you're just trying to keep things running with this cold temperature up.
How much of this, from your guys' perspective, jump back to Bain here, is this affecting, from what you can tell in your area of the front at least, is this affecting the Russians as much as it is the guys, you're all troops fighting with Ukraine? Are they better prepared, worse prepared? This seems like a situation where nobody would want to be doing anything. Just focus on staying warm.
Essentially, yes. I can't really say without giving away too much information, but the Russians are essentially getting into buildings, hiding in location, and they will try to stay as silent as they can and let us pass. Because we've had an intercept saying that they don't want to fight us because we shoot at them a lot. So, you know, that's good for us. Yeah, yeah. But now it just means that they've completely gone around us, and yeah, it's an interesting situation.
It makes it even more impressive hearing that they've had directives sent around saying, hey, the Russians at this moment in time with the weather going on, they'd be more likely to kind of let you guys pass and to stay silent so that they can stay in whatever shelter they've managed to find, right? Whatever fucking safe stronghold they think they've gotten there. They're not outside in the elements, whatever. They're more likely to let you pass at this point just to stay alive. Plus, they don't like the fact that you guys shoot back a lot when they decide to take out one of you guys. But he even goes on to talk about here, we won't have time to play it, but he goes on to talk about how there was one instance where the Russians were in the very building next to him and they didn't know, right? They just had no idea because they were in there trying to stay warm, stay silent. And it just, I believe it was picked up on drone activity, or I forget exactly how they figured out that they knew. But to have them sitting there for quite some time in the very building next to you, you know, just trying to fucking stay alive, stay warm without anybody hearing them or seeing them or engaging in anything. Like, it just goes to show the impressive nature in how much, you know, the Ukrainians have learned and how much they're still impacting the front lines, getting the 800 to 1,000, casualties per 24 hours that they still manage to get. And again, what the Russians are in for, as far as, again, when the weather changes, the ground thaws, the days become longer and more drone activity, more action can take place. Pair that up with the communications outages from Starlink, the communication outages from Telegram, the recent actions we've seen near Dobropilia from the Ukrainian military. Some definite things that Ukrainian military can build upon in this situation. I don't know how. I think, as Preston said the other day, as far as a collapse in the area is a bit strong. But to see any role reversal as far as, you know, the movement on the lines per Russian to Ukrainian is a good sign to see. So hopefully we can build on the momentum that we've seen here. Hopefully we can build on the communications blackout and the communications nightmare that the Russians are now facing, and kind of turn the tide in at least a few of these different areas along what is a huge front still. But all right, ending it out here. We got about 10 minutes left. I just want to dive into a little bit of this. We started talking about this yesterday and kind of have been talking about this for a long time. The propaganda surrounding the non-existent ceasefire that the Trump administration and that Benjamin Netanyahu have been trying to shove down the throats of the world. It's a joke at this point. It really is. But this is from, again, let me make credit where credit is due here. This is from Noah Sampson. Let me throw this on the screen for you guys. Noah Sampson, and this video is titled "The Gaza Ceasefire Lie." Oh, my apologies. Something's playing. Sorry, that started playing in the background. This is from 5 days ago, 145,000 views. The Israel-Hamas ceasefire is a lie crafted to turn the world's attention away from the Gaza genocide. And again, we're not going to be able to get into this whole thing, but I would advise you, anybody that's interested in, continuously learning about the facts and what's going on and taking place on the ground still, to dive into this in its entirety. Again, this is The Gaza Ceasefire Lie by Noah Sampson, and I just wanted to play a little bit of this to get a little bit more acquainted in what's actually taking place. And again, it corroborates a lot of what we've been saying here about this non-existent and ridiculous fucking framing of a ceasefire actually taking place. So I appreciate you guys. Again, we try to cover as much as humanly possible here on Blunt Politics. A lot of these are, probably all of them are really difficult topics to speak about. And I appreciate you for engaging here on this channel and allowing me the time and the opportunity to speak about these topics to you guys. So thank you guys, whether it's the mods or everybody else, the best chat on earth. I appreciate you guys. I really do. Let's dive into it.
Genocide. For 2 years straight, we watched Israel commit genocide in Gaza. We watched as they killed hundreds of thousands of Palestinian people, tortured them, starved them, locked them into cages, and opened fire. On this tiny strip of land, of which half of the population is children, they dropped the equivalent of 13 nuclear bombs. They tried to erase Gaza, and the world watched. But one day, late last year, the bombing stopped. A ceasefire had been reached. The agreement, backed by the United States and signed by Israel and Hamas on October 10th, calls for the exchange of hostages, the suspension of all military operations, and the commencement of the full entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Soon after its implementation, hostages and prisoners were released. Some Palestinians would attempt the journey home. Many would return to find that there was nothing left. So was this it? Was the genocide over? Did we finally achieve peace? And, well, no, not exactly. In the 4 months since the ceasefire was signed, Israel has killed over 500 Palestinian people, men, women, and children. They've wounded
I think that number is either closer to or surpassed 600, even since this video was made.
More, with their snipers, their drone strikes, their tank shelling, and their aerial bombardment. The IDF has continued its campaign of mass destruction in Gaza, blowing up everything in sight, demolishing thousands of buildings with explosives and bulldozers. They've also continued their brutal strangulation at the crossings, restricting the entry of vital humanitarian aid and all the other basic necessities required to sustain life. The genocide did not end. It continued, only this time slower and quieter. Gaza's corpses have been hidden under the shroud of peace talks. The violence described now, not as massacres or war crimes, but as incidents and tests which underscore the fragility of the ceasefire.
And he's 100% right. And we've talked about this, the way in which it's now spoken about. You know, oh, the conditions have improved, and we have these little incidents, these little skirmishes, these little fucking, flare-ups, they'll call them anything but what is actually taking place, which is the ridiculous nature of the fucking term ceasefire even being used when, again, we're talking about nearly 1,000 people dying in the 2 months just since, or however many days it's been exactly, to get it, specific.
In the past 2 years, Israel has been systematically destroying the Gaza Strip.
Look at that fucking, 2026, right? Unreal.
By October of last year, it was estimated that they damaged or destroyed over 83% of the buildings. And during the ceasefire, the destruction has continued. Since October, the Israeli military has demolished over 2,500 buildings, including entire neighborhoods.
Israel is still demolishing Gaza building by building. More than 2,500 structures have been destroyed since the start of the ceasefire, an analysis by the New York Times has found. And you can see all of the different areas in which, and the structures that have been destroyed, including religious sites, which is also included in the latest clip that we showed yesterday about the West Bank and the new laws and policies put in place and the allowing of procurement of territories there as well, also allowing religious sites.
In some areas, they are clearing out the rubble to dig barriers and build military outposts. The Gaza Ministry of Health estimates that at least 10,000 Palestinians are missing under the rubble. Many of these structures harbor their remains. Israel's demolitions make the task of their eventual recovery potentially impossible, as many of these—
remember, as we talked about yesterday, the UN and how they just recently started cleaning up the massive rubble piles, the massive trash piles that have accumulated over the time, right? But again, what does that, the number of 10,000 people, I could almost guarantee is a low ball figure of the amount of people still missing and laying under the rubble. God knows how many people are in the pile, right? I mean, you guys saw how big that pile was. So again, these people are just going to be erased from memory. The pile is going to be cleaned up, no fair or proper burial. I mean, there's a lot of layers to this whole thing that have been set in motion by this, egregious act, obviously.
Remains are being excavated and removed, in essence, erasing these people from existence. According to the UN, the volume of rubble in Gaza has exceeded 60 million tons. That is roughly 20 times the amount that's been removed in the prior 15 years of Israel's many violent assaults on the territory. With 100 trucks running around the clock, clearing out the debris would still take decades. But if Israel continues its restrictions on the entry of equipment necessary for rebuilding, the process would take over a century. And that's the next piece of the ceasefire violation puzzle here, the blockade. The ceasefire requires that Israel immediately allow the full entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza, but the restrictions have continued. Tens of millions of dollars in humanitarian aid sit at the border awaiting Israeli approval. Israel is blocking the entry of basic supplies to live, like fuel for heating and cooking, batteries to power devices, and solar panels to charge those batteries. This includes thousands of temporary housing units. With over 1 million Palestinians displaced and forced into makeshift tent cities, severe storms have caused major flooding. Even in breaks between the rains, the flooding lingers, as most of Gaza's drainage infrastructure has been destroyed by Israeli bombardment. The lack of shelter and fuel for heating, combined with the harsh winds, rain, and flooding, are leaving people susceptible to hypothermia. Dozens of Palestinians have frozen to death since the ceasefire began, including at least 10 babies. Infant death from exposure and normally preventable diseases has been dubbed wet tent syndrome, where these brutal living conditions are leaving people vulnerable to respiratory illnesses, including infections, bronchitis, pneumonia, and worsening asthma. The supplies necessary for rebuilding existing structures are also being restricted for entry, denying Palestinians the ability to make even the most basic repairs to their destroyed homes, such as filling cracks from the bombings, which have begun leaking water during these storms. A combination of restrictions on the entry of medicine with the destruction of sewage and waste treatment infrastructure has created the ideal conditions for the spread of infectious diseases. This has turned otherwise survivable injuries and illnesses into potentially fatal conditions. Access to landfills is being blocked by Israeli occupation, resulting in an estimated 700,000 tons of solid waste piling up in the Gaza Strip.
And that's what we were talking about yesterday. That's what the UN, I believe, Wednesday began actions in undertaking and trying to, instigate the removal of those piles there. But again, the stretch and the breadth of the fucking destruction and the plight of the people there and the ongoing and continued plight of the people and the way that you'd have this administration talk about it and the way you hear Bibi Netanyahu talk about it, two totally different realities, right? Two completely different universes that people are living on as far as this is concerned. And, I wish we had more time to kind of dive into the rest of it, but there's a lot to get through. There's about another 15 minutes of that. And again, anybody that's kind of wanting to dive into more detail and dive more in-depthly into that, I would definitely suggest you head over to Noah's YouTube page, check that video out. And again, right hand up, unfamiliar with Noah, don't know anything about his political affiliations, his background, or anything that he's put out in the past. Can't vouch for that. But I did watch this, and I did think that at least this this video that he did was well done, well documented, and right to the point on this one. So appreciate him as well for putting that out. And thank you guys for bearing with me here on the Blunt Politics Podcast. I really do appreciate you guys for being here. A lot that we had to get through today, from threats to smaller YouTube channels like Francesca Fiorentini's and her beautiful response of sure, we'll ask the harem to add it to the notes. That was shout out to Francesca on that one. Or obviously the hosts Oversight Dems and their release of just a few of these decrepit, disgusting monsters that have, at least to a small fucking account, been held to, or at least made to resign, or there's been investigations or relinquish of power, or they step down, and that's only the beginning of the snowball that hopefully continues to go downhill, and it continues to wrap up every individual that is associated with these files, engaged in the criminality, engaged in the financial aspects, whatever it may be. But we do appreciate you guys here for joining us. Lots that we got through, calling out Joe Rogan, as well as everybody continues to do as he continues to twist himself into a goddamn pretzel. We didn't get into this. It's been a couple days. I've thrown this kind of up on the screen, and if we had time to get to it, I was going to get to it. It's not hugely important to considering what we're discussing as well, but I did want to kind of just throw out my critique of their YouTube media literacy, at least, and the people that they're speaking to and the questions that they should be asking. I think they kind of got into it a little bit with Hassan recently as well, in a question and an answer and a response that Hassan gave about whether he would vote for J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom. And he said he would vote third party, and the kind of lack of pushback people are saying that Jen Welch had on that one. But again, a lot of these other stories are vastly more important, so I didn't find it appropriate to kind of designate time in the podcast for that as much. So if we find a slow day, which I doubt we will, maybe we'll kind of dive into that a little bit more. But let's get into thanking some people, as we always do at the end of the show, whether you chipped in on Venmo or through the chat over there on the chat. That was very well done, Brian. You lined that one up perfectly. Great job on that one. All right, let me just sign into the. No, I don't want to sign up. I want to log into my old Venmo so I can thank everybody. Error authenticating. Why? Just let me log in. Wouldn't that be great? Passwords. Nope, that's not the one. God damn it. Why do they make this so difficult on these phones now? Bear with me. Bear with me. I think it's this one. Yeah, we'll go with that one. Yeah, we'll go. Yeah. It's that one. Yeah, it's that one. All right, here we go. All this, and I guarantee nobody's anything in. No, well, of course I'm lying. I'm wrong. Thank you, Jenny Faye. Thank you for the $20 on Venmo. Jenny Faye said, thanks for being a positive force while bringing us all the vile things happening around the world. I try to. And again, we may, at some point in time, may not take the people we're speaking about seriously, but we definitely do take the situations that we're speaking about seriously, as much as we like to mock and joke on these idiots, whether it be the people at Newsmax or Fox or the politicians over on the right. We absolutely do take all of what we're covering very seriously, but we try to make it a little bit easily digestible, let's just say, to people that aren't wanted to watch the mainstream media, aren't wanting to watch the dry, pinky up kind of typical liberal coverage that you get. But thank you to Suzanne as well. Great show. Love that we're all making all of the connections that will help us be ready to stop the steal at midterms. Absolutely, Suzanne, very well said. That way we don't get caught off guard when inevitably something is going to happen, that much. So thank you to Teague just over the last couple of days. Nancy as well. I hope you're well, Nancy. Thank you to Claudia, Christine, Nancy again. Double thank you, Nancy, Nicole, Roger, and Karen. Thank you, Dame, as well. Appreciate you guys, everybody that's kind of contributed over the last few days. Let's head over here to the Venmos, and thank you, fabulous people over here. Thank you, Yakov, for starting it off in the right way. This is Blunt Politics. We're never going to stop. Let's fucking go. Appreciate you, Yakov, as always, my man, for everything that you do, all the sharing and posting and helping that you do and getting this show out there. Very much appreciated, dude. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great day. Thank you, Nola, for the 5. Shout out to you, Nola. We love you, Boston Brian. Right back at you guys. Have all the love in the world for you guys, as you know. So very much appreciate you reaching out. Thank you for saying that. And thank you for your contributions, Nola. Very much appreciate that. Proud Mom. Let's go. $27.99. Hi, Brian and Chad from Ontario. Thank you. Just wanted to say hello and send love, support, all the best, Tracy. Thank you so much, Tracy. Very much appreciate you and everybody watching from north of the border. Thank you so much for your help and your appreciation and your contributions and your support for everything going on down here and everything that we're facing, because obviously people know what starts in the United States quickly spreads to other places, right? So thank you, Tracy, for your contribution. Shout out to you. That helps a lot, and I can't thank you enough for that. Thank you, Jen, as well. All right, Boston Brian, I'm in Massachusetts. Lunch next week. Let's fucking go, brother. 420. Thank you for the 420. Where in Mass are you? Yeah, we'll have to fucking set that up. We'll have to see if we can set that up. That'd be fantastic. I don't know where in Mass are you, but we'll see. We'll see if we can get that down. Appreciate the 420. Thank you for the contribution. Shout out to you. Hope you enjoy Mass. Tough time to be here. I got to say, it's a lot better in the summer and the spring, but you can't, beggars can't be choosers, I guess, right? Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you, Peter, as well. Shout out to you for the 5. It seems that no one of this group of enablers is willing to be first to acknowledge the truth of their support to this obvious predator, DJT. And again, that's throwing them all for a loop. And some of them absolutely recognize it, but also recognize they can't talk about it. Also recognize they know where their fucking bread is buttered, right? They know who watches the stream. They know who watches these podcasts, and they just can't bring themselves to do it. Others are just that stupid, like the Greg Kellys and anybody that works for Newsmaxes, right? Like those people just, I don't believe, see the writing on the wall. They just don't see the ketchup and the spaghetti on the wall. The cumin and the turmeric faced fucking the colored face that's sitting right in front of them that they could blame. Just don't think they see it. And again, it's throwing them for a loop, right? Because when the obvious answer, you're ignoring the obvious answer and you try to go down these rabbit holes of what else it could be, you make yourself look like an idiot. Just take the obvious answer and follow that one until you can't follow it anymore. So thank you, Peter. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to who's next? Shout out to Mark as well. Thank you so much. Occam's razor. I wish Q understood the concept. Q in Bond or Q as in QAnon? I'm going to go with the secondary on that one, as the Q in Bond doesn't make much sense in that theory. So I appreciate you, Mark. Thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you for your contributions. Appreciate that so much. Thank you again. Did I miss that one earlier? No, I didn't miss that one earlier. All right, I'm just going in the wrong directions. Thank you so much, Mark. Again, thank you so much to Tracy again. Thank you so much, Tracy. Off to bed, night shift. Be safe, my American friends. Much love and respect over the rainbow bridge. Please be safe, everybody. Great job, Brian. Thank you so much. I thought I was seeing double. I thought that was the same one I already talked about. I didn't know which way I was going on that one. Well, thank you, Tracy. Hope you have a great night of sleep. Sorry that you're going to be out in the night shift, but, everybody's got their thing to do, and you are out there doing it as well as anybody, I can assure. I can only assume, right? I can only assume, but I appreciate you. Thank you for the contributions. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your support, for everything going on down here. Once again, and great job making sure that you're contributing to these channels. Tracy, thank you so much. Mark, again, thank you for the 5. In defense of DJT, you hire incompetence, so you would fire somebody for incompetence. You hire incompetence, so why would you fire somebody for incompetence? Makes sense. Does make sense. If you know he's hiring idiots and you know he's hiring these people because they're ignorant, corrupt, and incompetent, then why would he ever fire them for doing the exact thing that they were made to be there to do? So another reason why you're not seeing resignations, you're not seeing firings. They're doing exactly what they're meant to do. That's what they're put in place to do. That's what the instructions are. That's why he continues to support these people, whether it's Howard Nutlick, whether it's Pam Bondi, whether it's fucking Dan Bongino, whoever these fucking sickos are, right? Or whether it's wishing well to Ghislaine Maxwell. That's why you can put it in writing. And I appreciate you, Mark, for bringing it up. Once again, Mark's in here. I need a designer sugar mama. I don't know about that. Let's just stay away from all the designer created anything. How about that? I do appreciate the contribution and your, and the needs. I do. I appreciate the needs. But let's take it back a notch here. Appreciate you, Mark. Thank you, though. And then today, rounding it out, thank you, JD, as always, for the 5, brother. Thank you for the super sticker. Thank you for the contributions. And thank you, as always, to everybody throwing in a buck or two, whatever you have to contribute to the show. It means a lot. It shows a lot. It helps a lot. I know we ask a lot, but again, it's the only way that we can subside. It's the only way we can continue our show and make it so that we continue to keep the lights on and the microphone on and the screens working. We need upgrades too. We're going to make this show even better. We're going to continue to put this stuff out. We're going to continue to cover all of the important topics. So again, if you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, subscribe to the goddamn channel, because a lot of you aren't, and I don't know why. But at least hit the like button. If you're not going to subscribe, at least hit the like. It's 1 click, 2 clicks if you're going to subscribe. Doesn't take much. But again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much to the chat. Best chat on the internet. Best chat on social media. Best mods ever. Can't thank you enough, whether it's Tiff, Tanya. Thank you to, everybody. Mark. Thank you to Rox. Thank you to fucking Alyosha. All you guys. Thank you to Jen. Thank you to everybody that contributes. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Jeff, as well. Jeff says, I got to love your accent, Brian. You guys have the accent. I still have no idea what you guys are talking about, because I hear myself and it sounds normal. It sounds very normal to me, Jeff. You guys have the accent. But no, I appreciate you. I'm only busting your chops. I appreciate you, brother. What is that? F1? You got a little F1 going on? A little IndyCar or F1? I don't know what that is. But it looks like a cool picture, and I appreciate you for being here. All right, I'll see you guys. What's today? Friday. I'll see you Sunday for the Sunday show. Make sure you're tuned in. Make sure you're hitting that notification bell so you get an alert when we go live, when we put out a short, when we put out a video, whatever it may be. We're trying to get out more content as we get better set up back here in Boston. So I appreciate you guys for your support. I'll see you guys later. Sorry to anybody I forgot. I know I always miss somebody inevitably for some reason, so please don't get mad at me. I try my best. All right, I'm out of here. And again, disregard all of the information on the closing outro. I promise. I keep saying it, but I will make one that makes sense real soon once I find out how to do it. I promise. All right, I'll see you Sunday. Thanks, guys. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blind Politics. Hit that like on the way out if you haven't already. Appreciate you guys. Let's go, Jeff. That's pretty fucking cool. My invite must be in the mail. Must have got lost in translation. I didn't seem to get my invite to the Grand Prix in Italy. Maybe next time, Jeff. Look at me. Thank you, Bobs. Happy birthday again, brother. Love you, big guy.
undisputed champion of beautiful, clean coal.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come to officially name the undisputed. When did this come out? You're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat you. God bless the United States. We appreciate those camels. I haven't seen camels like that for a long time. Never fight uphill, you boys. Never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting. Never fight uphill, me boys. But it was too late. Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was. The Battle of Gettysburg, what an unbelievable. I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways. It represented such a big portion of the... go fuck yourself. Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
What uranium is, right? This thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
How do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president? Seriously, how do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president?
Venezuela. Did you just see Maduro?
Cacophony, a crescendo, a finale.
Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
Refer to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
What in the hell was that all about? He says rectum damn near killed him.
Taking him back to Nevada where he's wanted for banging horses. I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
We've endorsed JP, right? J.D. Mandel, and he's doing great.
Bad news, bad news. Even when it's good news, it's bad news.
I can just tell you that a con artist is about to take over the Republican Party and the conservative movement, and we have to put a stop to it.